you know, anybody, I mean, anybody else from the other groups, the ZBA, you know, to go out and see, you know, and have people explain what they did, how they did it, you know, what had to be done, see how they changed their by, you know, what their bylaw was before this was set up, and how they changed the bylaw and what the bylaw is now. You know, I mean, it's a lot. It sounds like a lot, but I mean, you know, I'm for this. I think this is a great idea, but it's just that, you know, I would like to, you know, I'm more of a visual type person. You know, for you to sit here and explain it, it's great. Yeah. You know,
we're working on it. So what you'll hear again, hopefully consistent. This project in its current form ends in the end of December. So we're gonna put together a foundation for the planning board to move forward further. And as part of what we're also doing is we're putting together a model bylaw.
okay.
And I am also a very visual person too, so putting together illustrations of, if you say, you know, a 10-foot front setback,
Right.
you know, what does that look like?
Okay.
And then we applied for a grant from the state to hopefully take this and practice.
So if the town decided, the planning board in this town decided to do this, then they would be able to get a grant from the state to do this.
First of all, don't use that.
We applied for a grant and we either bring it back hopefully in December or early January.
Next up on the list is,
I'm
not going over there by the door.
State, it needs to allow
Just put the
state
heat up.
goals.
Did you put it up?
I know
Yeah, I
that,
did.
you know, they say one thing, but they actually do something else, you know, I mean, you know, they say, oh yeah, we'll give you the money, and the next thing you know, oh, I'm sorry.
Now,
we
how
can't
are we
give you the
gonna
money.
work that? You did it on that wall before.
I know, it seems so small over there.
Yeah.
No, you didn't, you're gonna have to, because I can't sit anywhere else by the door.
I can flip it around, so it'll just be smaller.
Oh, I like the big one.
I like the big one.
Stop. You can't have the big one.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Like the next
I would not. No,
Melanie, you don't have an extension cord in your office, do you?
No, we asked if it was wrong,
No.
last time it was the
No.
wrong extension cord.
but I am someone who has a tattoo.
Not gonna show you.
No.
I
I like it
Can
though,
we-
but it's not.
Maybe we can move the table back a little bit.
No, you can't move the
You
table.
can't move the table?
That's the
You move the table, but he doesn't
that's the
want to-
extension cord problem.
Yeah, who would want to?
Oh,
But it, when we looked at the extension cord, it was the wrong type, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You had it bigger than before.
the,
You did, I know it was on their wall, it was much larger. You did have it on that, oh, you weren't here. It was larger than
I
that.
cannot imagine having something like this in my body.
tattoos.
Yes.
I have two teenage daughters.
This.
I don't want to hear about tattoos. They both have. Well, one of them has one. Three.
I don't think it's fine to have them. I have one, but I don't like the cover yourself in it and
Yeah. Yeah.
what is the
You asked the cameraman?
I did. Hi, how are you?
Good. What do we have for dinner tonight?
Pizza.
Pizza? From a local West Boylston business, I hope? Oh.
My favorite place in the world,
Is?
Cumberland Farms.
Oh,
For pizza?
really?
99 cents a slice, you can't go wrong, and it's very good.
Okay.
thanks. Not when you get other ones around.
Coffee, 99 cents, can't go wrong.
How about sushi? They sell sushi
Well, they
down
don't have to.
Not yet, they will.
there? They will. If they can have a sign with a picture on it out front,
Cumberland Farms?
with a picture of sushi, now they're gonna sell it.
Paul, have you partaken at Frozone?
Not yet. No,
Very good.
What about frozen?
I have not.
This is from Pretzels.
Haven't tried pretzels
Yeah, my
either.
daughter works
Actually
there.
goes there.
Oh, she does?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
my daughter
nice.
works here. Yeah. And I go there when she's working.
No 137?
No, and I emailed him on the 7th, and I told him, he emailed and said you should use
Really
it
is
about
not
getting in
much
touch.
attention.
Yeah, agenda. And I told him, I sent a copy of the agenda and said, you're on the agenda for 11, 7 o'clock.
Maybe he'll show up.
Whatever. So that's what I was probably thinking.
The world is filled with unfortunate tattoos on unfortunate areas of the body. People on Facebook saying, "Oh my God, why did I do this?" Or,
Yeah, you gotta make sure that when you get one-
$10 and I completely forgot about it. And luckily, I dropped that off last week.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you went there. I see it.
Yeah.
I was gonna hand it to Mark, see if he notices.
I have to pay people to come to the board meetings now. It's pathetic.
he got here at 6 o'clock last week, so we'll figure, oh, sorry.
Oh, so you took the time to change it, now you have to rechange it. 6:59. What else?
Is that when we get out? We get out with it.
It is good. It's a combination of different
They should
things.
just do away with the other state.
Isn't that money?
I have to come,
And pay us.
I have to come by phone and stay with my
Which time would you pick?
Oh.
The summertime or the winter time? You can do all year on the summertime, then the sunrise at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, business. Yes. Yeah, business.
Thank you.
Vinny,
Yes, sir.
have you been out by my house?
No.
They got
Okay,
one building
drove
up.
by.
They got one.
I saw they
building
had the
up.
foundations in it.
They got a
The
building
one
up.
that was.
I saw it on a
the one
truck.
that was like-
Up.
That's what modulars are all about.
Humongous.
Boom, done.
Who was like the one that, who was like the go-between.
Big.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you waiting for these two members for a moment? I'm gonna make a quick call.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, we won't start without you.
Hey, Jeff, I'm gonna stop.
We promise.
What were you doing?
God.
All through. Facebook. I can show you the text. I'm happy to show you.
Go to school?
Yeah.
I gave you the letter to sign, if it's okay, there was a couple of things that I thought was different than what was different, the plan name. I don't.
Yeah, I made that up.
Yeah, I thought that so, I'm like, there wasn't even a clue there. And
I hadn't seen it.
and then, my date, as far as I thought I put in was the
Put that to the
fifth.
side.
You gave that to me, yes. You sent me something that I
I thought it
found,
was, so I put the fifth in there.
5/10, May 10th.
The only thing I do not know is, no, the extension to the additional June 30th to 90 days. I had November 5th, I don't know, you had first.
Yeah, because it was the 5th, and you were just going by months, but I actually did it by the number of, not
Then we have to
180
change that,
days.
put it back, then, because
Oh.
I thought I included all the days, but if we need to.
Yeah, because
change
there's
that.
31 days. You gotta turn the heat down.
Well,
You guys won't
Last
I put- Yeah, I
for,
put it up.
yeah, no,
There's
Just put
nothing
it to
else,
70. It's on 72. Just put it to
70,
70.
70 is good.
there's nothing else on that, Vinnie, then you can circle that, I'll change that, put it back on the first, if that's what it is. Sign the second page, and I'll just redo that first page.
Makes sense?
Um,
Well, we gotta get to that. but-
Yeah, no, but then the other one was, I don't know when it went to VHB. So left
Oh,
it
I
alone.
got that. That was correct, because I got that from
Oh, you had that highlighted.
Wayne.
I thought you had that highlighted. Okay. I don't know when he sent it.
Well, he received it a day later or 2 days later.
Okay, so I'm like, I don't know if I have any indication about that. So I just a couple of things, but there is a good copy if you want it.
Okay, site plan stuff you got.
It was only,
This coming 90 days ending, what did it have it as?
I think you said, I gave you the original underneath it, what you did, that's why I did that.
Oh, that's good.
Was it first?
It was May 10th. Oh,
So
okay.
Josh,
No,
this
no,
one was
no,
not
no.
that.
No, 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 I'm looking at all of them, yeah.
November.
November.
That's what you had, I thought, I had it on my calendar the 5th, but I
We
could
have
be.
4 after 7, so.
So that was the
Yeah, well,
first?
we're, oh, he's here.
He's right.
Where is there,
Our riser's upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about-
Selectmen thing.
is Mark up there?
I don't know if Mark's up there.
I doubt it.
Well,
Because he would have stopped by
He's
here
always.
first. Yeah, he would have stopped by here first.
you should keep him,
26.
yeah.
We don't want to do that again.
It's like an hour and a half early last time.
All right, so we have, and actually, because I know Mark's pretty involved with this zoning, village zoning update.
If you want to take me out of order, that's fine. Or however you want to do it.
Well, no, you're first and you get the first half hour, so I'm kind of surprised he's not here. So he's usually pretty
He's
good.
probably just running a little late.
Well, why don't you get started? He knows the background. So we have Jeff Bagg here from CMRPC. He's been working on the village zoning district planning and give us an update.
Great.
We're starting.
Oh. Waving at him.
I'm not sure that was the old. Why don't you turn that microphone towards you?
Great, well, thank you for having me again. The last time I was actually here was in July, and due to a small snafu, I missed the October meeting, which I had intended to come before you then. This is an update on a project that we're working on, which is funded from the District Local Technical Assistance Program. And just to recap, that the concept for this part of the project is to prepare sort of a second level of foundation for the town to move forward potentially with village center zoning in certain areas. This project will run until the end of December, so ideally I'd be back before the board in December. You know, the meeting schedule gets pretty constrained, with sort of a technical report outlining some of the issues I'll cover in the PowerPoint and talk about next steps. And I'm also excited to talk about, through coordination with, I think you, Vincent, we submitted a grant request to the state through the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs for funding to continue the Village Center project with 5 other towns. The nice thing is that the state was offering a range of funding amounts. So we submitted the grant on behalf of West Boylston to continue this work. And the expectation from the state is that they're going to identify or award the funding by January. So where we end in December, the funding should be, if the grant's awarded, the funding would be in place in January. In terms of the grant, there would be a discussion with the planning board about a timeline. The beauty of this particular grant is that it can run through 2 fiscal years. So what we looked at was probably not necessarily starting up right in January, but to start sometime in the spring or maybe even summer, and then span through the fall and winter and aim for a Springtown meeting. So if the grant funding is awarded, we would come back to you and talk through details. But we're pretty excited with the potential opportunity to roll from this funding source into another one to keep the project going. So what I have here is really an update from where we were last time. I have copies of the PowerPoint, which I'll hand out midway through so we don't get too distracted. When we talked last time, this project goes back a little while. The study area had been identified previously, and what we talked about was slightly shrinking it a little bit. And so it's hard to see, but on the right side of that map where the second body of water is a dashed red line. So that would be where we would, actually I'll probably hand it out.
Thank you. North is to the left on the map, so.
Yeah, I flipped the orientation around. So we confine the area a little bit more, and then on the next slide I'll show what we would talk about as a concept is to use the existing zoning districts to help us figure out where to tailor or change the zoning. So the pink on this map is the business district, and the yellow is the general residence district. So we would,
This way, sorry. Is this the meeting?
Planning board?
For the restaurants? What is the name?
What is last?
Board of Health, across the hall.
the yellow is the general residence, and the pink is the business, and what the white is the single residence district. So we don't propose any changes to the single residence as any part of the concept right now, but we do talk about the general residence and the business district. So in the packet and here, what we tried to put together was the beginnings of a conceptual map. Starting from the right side, there's a general residence area in purple, and we are not proposing to go beyond that or make any changes there. The orange idea would be a village center business district, which I'll talk about in a minute. No extension cord?
Well, there's one in here, but I'd have to show you what it looks like.
This is fine.
You're
Yeah.
happy?
Yes, thank you very much.
I tried, but I couldn't find one.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So in general, the two orange areas, we're describing them now as village center business, and the two orange areas correspond to this previous map as the business district. So we're keeping the business idea in place, but we're going to change, we'll talk about changing some of the uses and some of the dimensions in there. And then what I'm calling out is the civic center. I'll talk about it in a minute. It's unclear which way the zoning would go there, but a lot of those uses seem well established and they're protected to some extent. And then finally, the village center residential is the pocket that is currently general residence that we wanted to talk about. And then to the left, we have no change, and then to the bottom of the page, we have no change. One of the things is I'll go through, and they're in the packet and they're in here, is we've been working with an aerial photographer for some of these projects, and so he came to town, this was a while ago in the summer, and took some aerial photographs of the study area. And it's helpful if you think about this in terms of the foundation and building blocks. We're looking in the long term to build explanations that more lay people or town meeting members might understand, and then we're really working hard to figure out how to visualize what this starts to mean. And so the aerial photographs have been really helpful. And so I highlighted here the civic core that we call it. So you have the town common, you have the church, and maybe the library is tucked in on the bottom of the image, and that should be included. So again, that's kind of mirror this concept map where the core center is civic oriented. And then this view, I'm going to be lost with my directions, but are we looking south, down Central Street? Okay, we're looking south, yep. So we would be oriented from the civic core south to what would be a village business area, and at the top of the orange line is where town hall is. So we're identifying this pocket here that would be where the business district might change to more village oriented. And then this is looking north up Central Street, and what you have highlighted in yellow is that village center residential area with the final sort of outlying business area. And so again, this corresponds to this map where the yellow is the village center residential, and then you're going north to the village center business. So one of the things that we're working on right now, and we'll be finishing as part of the report at the end of December, is looking at West Boylston's existing zoning bylaw and trying to compare and contrast it to what we have for a model village bylaw. so we can see where things are working well in your bylaw, or where they're not going to line up with the principles of Village Center, and that's going to be the basis for the zoning changes moving forward. As of right now, a preliminary conclusion is that, I know there was some discussion, it looks like with your input, we would be talking about a new district being created rather than an overlay over the existing business, because creating a new district will give a lot more flexibility and a lot more opportunity for the planning board or the town to tailor it. And I'll talk through some of the points and important parts of doing that. The other option would be to maybe make some adjustments to the business district, but I think looking at the zoning map and knowing that there are quite a few other areas in town where the business district is applied, you really are going to be better off potentially tailoring it to this area. Thinking really long term, you could use this, if it passes town meeting, you could use this as an example, and then maybe look at other sections of town to reapply the Village Center concept to other places. I covered some of this back in July, and it's in some of the materials, but the new Village Center districts can focus on encouraging adaptive reuse of existing structures. So on Central Street in particular, where you have the nice row of historic homes, the Village Center residential model is to make sure that those people, if they wanted to, could convert the building to either offices on the first floor and apartments, or a mix of all offices, or make more residential units within the building, keeping its architectural components in place. You would have the opportunity to provide more compatible site and building design standards for new buildings. So if there was a proposal to demolish an existing structure and build something new, both of the Village Center concepts would give the planning board and the town, and probably the zoning board of appeals, the ability to really look at what the building is going to be looking like, and where it's going to be on the property. And I think in another slide, talk about landscaping and lighting and all the normal things that you would be looking at. You can tailor the uses to really fit what you envision the district to be, and because it's a confined area, that actually is pretty manageable. And then you can allow for some moderately new dense housing with design standards. And so I go through some of these things. I think I talked mostly about this. The core, the three areas that we're looking at are the business district, the commercial districts, which there really aren't any in this area, and then the general residence. So this slide is very small, I realize. What we're doing right now is trying to look at your existing table of uses and begin to sift through the ones that really wouldn't fit in a Village Center versus the ones that you would prefer. And so I apologize because it's not really legible. The uses highlighted in red are generally the automobile-oriented businesses that you would have plenty of allowances to keep them in the commercial district and anywhere that stays the business district. But generally those are the uses that you start to discourage, and you start to look at the uses that you want to encourage. So I apologize because this isn't really readable. On the left are the residential uses, and the item that's highlighted is multifamily with 4 units or more. And so as we start to compare what your bylaw has and what it might need to make it orient towards Village Center, for example, with the multifamily housing, you're allowing it through site plan review in the business district, which is good. But as of right now, there are really no design standards. I think the bylaw has a limit of 12 units per building. But other than that, a developer would be able to come in, and the planning board would have not a lot of control over the way it's oriented on the site or the style of building and things like that. So those are all elements that get pulled into the Village Center. We started to look at the dimensional requirements.
and mainly again in the general residence and business district. For a minimum lot size in the business district, you require an acre and 150 feet of frontage, which the previous planner who was working on this project did the calculations at the bottom, where for frontage in the business district, 36% of the lots don't meet that. And so there's definitely an attempt to make the frontage reflect more what's there and make sure that those uses can change and the frontage isn't going to be an issue. And then the other chart is lot size. So the 1 acre, is 43,000 square feet, is large for a village center. And the chart on the right basically says that 53% of the lots in the study area are actually 20,000 square feet or less. And so that's one of these comparisons that we want to do. In most cases, the business districts were set up in the, let's say, in the 60s or 70s, and the 1 acre lots were that was just the requirement. And it didn't really look at the actual pattern in the area. So there is some need to look at some of the basic dimensional requirements. This is an excerpt from the bylaw now for multifamily. And basically the first item says that there shall be 10,000 square feet of additional lot area for each unit. And that's for areas that have sewer. So I checked, and this area is served by sewer. So that is something that we want to look at. And our model, when at the end of December, when we have this completed, we want to try to illustrate some examples of density to start to show people what it means to have 6 units on a certain size parcel. But by and large, West Boylston's not unique. The 10,000 square feet of additional lot area for each unit is excessive, and it's going to prohibit some of the desirable development. So if you have an older historic home that could be 4 units without any real big external changes, you would require 40,000 square feet for 4 units. And a lot of times, if you look at historic development patterns, you could get 4 units on a much smaller lot, and it works. And so we're trying to calibrate your existing zoning to the concepts. The second item is the maximum number of dwelling units per building is 12. So that's really the only control over multifamily housing that you have in the general business district. And so through design guidelines and other requirements, there's a lot you can do to make sure that townhouse developments would be in line with what you have.
And the guidance you're going to prepare is going to have a lot of that wording.
Yeah, so what we're going to set up is the comparison of West Boylston to the Village Center concepts and identify where there's discrepancies. We'll map them out, and then the model will have illustrations and examples of things moving forward, and then it would be the hope that we get the grant to then actually craft the technical language that it goes with this. So the idea in my mind is to give your board enough background information, illustrations, and then the language to bring to town meeting, because I think that's the hardest part. Is if you say 10,000 square feet of additional lot area per unit, is restrictive, it doesn't resonate with people. So with the illustrations, that's really what we're trying to get to work towards. This is where I started to, this is the meat of my work that we're still working through to evaluate the bylaw, but there are some restrictions on having multiple uses on one site and multiple buildings. And I think I combined this slide earlier. It's this provision of the bylaw says that only one habitable building shall be placed on any lot. And I don't know exactly how your planning board has been administering that, but if you wanted to have 2 buildings on the same lot. Technically, the bylaw is prohibiting that. So that's a bit of a problem. It's going to be restrictive in the long run. And then when you have multiple uses, so if you have a building with some kind of coffee shop on the first floor and 2 apartments above it, you think you can do 2 uses in a building, but then you look at the parking, and what the parking says is that you have to provide the parking required for a coffee shop and the parking required for units, and they all have to be put on the site. There is some provisions for shared parking, but it seems like it could be easier to navigate for a developer or a project, so we're looking at that. Some of the mapping and research that we've been doing is focused on the Central Street area, and so this is all going to be part of the final report. We're trying to look at patterns of development, so how close the buildings are to property lines, especially the front property lines, is important. And then we'll do an assessment of what types of uses are in each area. And so part of this is looking at each parcel. I apologize because this could be bigger along with, that's why I was hoping to put it over there. We've done the inventory of the visual inventory, and we started to create the database which would track use and some of the other specifications for each lot, which is the foundation part for you to move forward. This is the other side of Central Street. The other area that we focused on was sort of this triangle with Franklin Street and Town Hall here, and West Boylston Street and Worcester Street. This is an aerial photograph of the Town Hall, and so Franklin Street for now is the edge of our study area, and we're going to be looking north. And then this is the intersection that you start to look at the civic core area. And what we started to look at was identifying parcels that might be redeveloped in the future. And through a small glitch in my working with my colleague, we were aiming to look at parcel number 2, which I believe was the site that Cumberland Farms was originally looking at, and that was what we set out to do. But it turns out that we actually mapped out 3, 4, 8, and 7. So bear with me. I think we'll probably retool this, but for the purposes of our moving through creating some of the foundation work, we highlighted those parcels. I highlight them here on the left. So again, I think we were intending to be one parcel up, so bear with me. One of the things that we're trying to do with each town we're working with is start to visualize. And so through some very basic and approximate schematics, what we want to try to do is render up at least one property to help build the illustrations and examples moving forward. So knowing that we were aiming for that other parcel to the north, what we have here is a concept of 4 buildings on a single parcel, and the general idea would be that these buildings would be mixed use, probably 2 stories is what seems the most compatible with this area, with some kind of retail or commercial or even offices on the first floor of each of these buildings with some kind of apartments above. And so if we did a general calculation of 4 dwelling units per building, this site, in theory could support 16 units with some square footage of retail and commercial on the first floor. So I haven't run those numbers yet. Parking gets accounted for, green space, walkways. So what we hope to do is continue to sort of work on a schematic for a site and bring it to the planning board and make sure that it's suitable to show around a little bit. And I think I'm getting close to the end. I'm going to jump to the fun stuff. This is an example of what we're hoping to do with that parcel, and I'll go back to it in a second. This is a property in Upton, and the town is currently in the process of trying to purchase it. And so we are jump-starting with my colleague Ronak, who's not here, using some of her rendering skills and using some modeling to produce what we can start to set up as a set of examples. Again, this is Upton, and this is not tested really with them yet, so I'm free to talk about it tonight here. But what we want to do is come up with some kind of building design that's generally palpable to people and start to illustrate what some of the village center principles are. So in this image, what we would do is start to talk about the height. So in your current bylaw, the business district allows 50 feet for a maximum height, which may or may not be the right height for that area that's currently zoned business. So we're going to look at height, and a rendering will help with that. You can look at architectural style and building materials. We can look at the building size, the way the building is positioned on the property, and then obviously looking at sort of a mixed-use commercial on the first floor and apartments above. In this image, the building to the right, the smaller building, might be much more in line with what you would see here. This building is larger. I think this parcel is larger. So where we're hoping to be at the end of December is refining this concept a little bit and show this site plan view and describe what it's showing, and then turn to a 3D model to help illustrate it further. So in terms of next steps, we're working on the rendering, we're working on a final outline and comparison of existing bylaw constraints, and then options for the village center bylaw. And we'll be finishing at the end of December with a technical report to provide the foundation for creating the bylaw, conducting public outreach, and bringing something to town meeting. And that's where ideally that next grant would allow CMRPC to keep working with you through whatever time frame we agree on. But I will say that in the event that the grant is not awarded, there will be another option, which is to seek the same DLTA funding that we've been working with all along. The only problem with that is it's usually a smaller pot of money, so it might be more continuing to take incremental steps versus if we get the grant. The idea with the grant from the state, one of the requirements was that any zoning related measure actually gets to town meeting. So that is the overarching goal. That's a requirement of the state, is to get some kind of zoning, whatever zoning you're working on, get it to town meeting. And I think that they acknowledge that they're not looking for the actual up or down vote as much as getting it to that on the warrant to town meeting, and then the outcome is not contingent upon the grant, but getting it there is. So again, the rendering is important, I think, to do visualization. These are some more of the aerial photographs that we have using a drone operator from Boylston, not West Boylston, but Boylston, and he's been great. He's been working on a lot of these projects with us to just help people see it from this a little bit higher up perspective. Is really beneficial in a lot of ways. So these are in the packet, and we'll make them available to you at the end of this grant cycle. So that's about what I have for today for an update.
The only thought I had was in your timing. We normally like to do zoning articles in the fall town meeting.
Okay.
So if we do get the grant, which hopefully we will, we probably want to have a little more aggressive time frame to get it ready for an October. It's usually around the 15th, October 15th town meeting.
Okay. And I think I asked this last time. I'm just going to look at a calendar really quick because I think unfortunately it's a lot of contingent upon knowing what the outcome of the grant is. The idea that they stated was awarding it in December, and whoever, so what we did with West Boylston, and I don't know who knows about this, so I believe that the town administrator signed off on moving the grant forward. So you'd be partnered with 5 other towns and CMRPC, and what we proposed was 3 towns going on one cycle, and then 3 towns going on a later cycle. So when the grant's awarded, we'll come back and we'll negotiate a timeline. But I think I understand that you would want to go in October. Looking at the fiscal year calendar, the grant has to be wrapped up by June. So for the other set of communities, we were aiming for May town meeting, 2019. It's a ways out, but we were looking at May. So we could try to push West Boylston into the first round. And the idea with the grant is that there would be some kind of public workshop as a precursor to moving something towards town meeting.
Good.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Thoughts?
No, I like where you're going. Is it the idea of a village zoning where you have the parking behind the building, is that sort of a new, not new, but is that sort of contrary to what everything in town is like right now?
In terms of village center, that's definitely part of the concept, is that you would put it in your bylaw that the parking, and I believe West Boylston already has that requirement that the parking goes, in the business district, parking goes behind, I don't think I cited it.
Can't be in the front. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and I think that's good. So that's a, if you think about all of these changes in terms of hurdles, that's one hurdle that you don't have to go over to explain because you already have that provision in place. And so what it really is setting up the bylaw so the building gets up front. And so the way most bylaws work is that you have a minimum front setback, and so
Have a maximum?
no maximum. So that's where the problem usually occurs, is your minimum front setback is 10 feet, and that's good. But in most cases, and I'm not exactly sure why, the developers will just push the building to the rear and put the parking in the front. And that's one of the biggest things that the village center concept tries to do, is just move the buildings forward and create the pedestrian feel. And I think I talked about this last time. I mean, with every one of these bylaw provisions, there is flexibility built in, so that if for some reason a developer couldn't do it or didn't want to, they would have to get either a special permit or specific approval to not do that. So you want to make sure that it is flexible enough that if there's some reason they couldn't accomplish that they, could work around it. But
Makes sense. And when you're doing your zoning, I saw your lines are generally like straight down through, but I'm not sure that the center, that civic center line.
yes,
It looked like it was going right down the sideline of the road as opposed to incorporating the lots that are on that road.
Sure.
And I'm not sure if you have a reason for it, and that there may be a very good reason, but I was thinking if you're gonna be doing this, let's move the lot lines move the zoning to match the lot lines, so there's
Okay.
not as many split lots in these areas.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And yes, I think what these are at least illustrations for the time being, so I totally understand what you're saying. I'm trying to get back to that
Yeah.
first image.
There you go, right there.
Yeah, so the civic core is definitely an area that will end up one or the other if you do. So there's usually there's a couple options which I want to explore in the report, which is a village center residential bylaw, which has certain provisions that are really encouraging residential uses or small businesses to be put in existing residences. So it's small scale. And then there's village center business, which is generally a little bit bigger and maybe more dense in terms of housing. And so the civic core area would likely be one or the other. I just called it out because it is a theme in a lot of towns. It's the historic development pattern just revolved around that center area where you have the town common and the churches, and usually there's a town hall in a lot of cases, or a library, which you have. So right now, the civic core is mostly in the general residence district. So, to your point, Vincent, I think we would want to look in a little bit more detail where the zoning district lines are and either mirror them or propose a modification.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just something to consider, as we're still real early, so.
Right.
And I like the idea of the civic center and, because that is basically the town commons area, so with the churches, it is exactly that, civic center. And
Right.
I'm not sure, that's something we'd have to discuss, is do we want to have small businesses there? Right now, we've got the Honey Farms, which draws a little bit, and do we want to get something over off of Church Street, where there are currently multifamily residences, and maybe include those as having some business downstairs, and another mom and pop shop of some type, just to encourage. Because right now, there's not, unless you're going from the library up to Honey Farms, there's not a lot of walking. Mom and pop.
Yeah, I think this will be okay to say. I mean, I think in hearing you talk about uses in the area, I think it actually raises the importance of doing it, because I guess if you take a cue from what is happening in downtown Worcester, for example, is that while there are large, prominent, historic buildings that you think are just going to be there forever, they may not. And so there is an importance to look at what type of uses would be here, or whether it requires some kind of special treatment just to preserve that, or at least acknowledge those structures. Because I think it could be really disruptive if in 10 years or 20 years, for some reason, the church, is proposed to be removed or something dramatic. Having the underlying zoning in place to either protect it or anticipate that would be important, not to be.
And I'm hoping that we get, in our last public hearing, we had a lot of good feedback from the public, and I'm hoping that when we get this up and running, when we have some schemes of what's possible, that we really get it out to the people who live there.
Okay.
Because we really have to sell it to the people who own, because if they stand up at town meeting and say, this is my property, it was my dad's property, and we lived here forever, and now we're not gonna be able to do what we've been doing, it's gonna waste a lot of people's time at town meeting. So
I agree.
we really want to get the public notified and encouraged to come.
And when you say at the last public hearing that you had, was there something related to this
No,
project?
Not zoning,
Okay,
no,
okay.
it was just general, it was, what was the,
Idea of Fuller's Center.
the weight limits on the
Oh,
trucks and that kind of
okay.
stuff. We actually got a lot of good feedback from locals who knew more about it than we did, so.
Right.
It was good, so.
And what would be your normal process if you talked about rezoning a parcel? Would you notify abutters? Do you know what your normal process would be if you were talking about?
We would just
rezoning?
follow whatever is required in the state
Okay.
for town meeting notice.
Because I think, from my understanding, is that, and this isn't a crazy irony, is that a town could rezone parcels and never have to notify the owners of the parcels, which we don't want to do that. So as part of the grant, part of when we come back to finalize the schedule, I think we would want to work on notifying all the property owners within whatever district we're talking about. I mean, obviously, as well as the community at large, but definitely making sure that those people are notified directly.
We don't have to.
We're not required to,
Okay.
but we have in the past, whenever we've done a zoning change, usually the zoning changes have been done by proponents, like for Hillside Village.
Okay.
They always come in and we want to get the abutters notified, we want everybody notified, so they usually always do it, and that's how we get a better turnout for a public hearing. And in these areas here, I wouldn't worry about holding the lines exactly to where the business is and to where the residential is now, because
Okay.
I know there are people in there that would like to juggle those lines. I don't know which ones and where they fall on the lines,
Okay.
but it may be that village center area ends up not going quite as far to the east or to north or south.
Or goes further.
Yes, it's gonna be based on input and feedback that we get from the communities, or from the property owners.
Was it the last one where we were talking about, like, one side of the street and the other side of the street? And sort of this side would be all residential because that's what it is. This side would be more business because that's what it is.
Right.
And sort of,
Yeah, and we wanted to try to match what we could, because I think we had talked at some point about expanding the business district, but only down one side of the street.
Right.
And then we decided that that wasn't a real smart thing to do, because then it can cause problems with the neighbors across the street.
and neighbors behind,
Right,
you know, I mean,
right, so.
So this is good, it's informative, because I think that it would be, maybe not the first step, but the second step in taking, this further would be to do a workshop or get input on boundaries and uses and certain things before we get too far with crafting things, so that makes a lot of sense.
A question, Dave?
Is Dr. Tajin's old clinic, does that fall into this?
Yeah, that was in a couple of
So-
pictures.
So would that be an area, like he was saying in Upton, they're looking to buy a piece of parcel? So would that be something that would be we could do part of, is buy that maybe?
Well, I think they spent a lot of time in Upton and I just assume that Upton has spent a lot of time in the process of evaluating the properties and the property that they're looking at, and they're in the process of acquiring it. Would it be something that the town could acquire? It's a nice little spot in the center of town. It's a possibility. I don't know how many acres it is, but the one on the corner of Prospect and, Prospect and Central, or
it's kind of
Crescent?
tucked in behind the plaza right there.
Yeah, your opening picture, it's the left side of that.
It's behind you.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, behind and to the right. That's the opposite side. So where are you?
Is this the image?
Picture.
It was in,
I gave all my copies away.
it was,
Go, move these, or move
Page.
one further.
the one where it has 1 through 12 on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
It's the property on the top left there, number 1.
There you go.
Yeah, that
Number
one on
one.
the top left there.
Number one.
Yep.
Number 1, okay.
And that, but you look at the property lines, if those are the property lines on the bottom picture in yellow, there's not much more than the building and the,
Building in the front.
and the front parking. But
But
it's,
could you, like if the town was able to purchase that property, if you weren't able to put, say, a business on it, could you use it for excess parking? So that people could park there and then just.
You do whatever you want.
No,
Yes.
I'm just asking.
yeah, it could, yes, it could be done. I'm not sure the feasibility of it. I mean, buying a property that could get built up in some way and get tax revenue versus the
Yeah.
town acquiring it and paying
See
for
why
it,
the town would buy it.
no taxes, and then just putting parking on it.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
With meters.
It could be done. There's all sorts of ideas that could come up, yeah.
Yeah, and
This is a change of use, right, for zoning?
It will change the uses,
Okay,
yes.
So this would have to go to the ZBA for a special permit?
No, this is gonna be a town meeting vote for change in zoning. We're gonna actually change the whole, if it gets to that, we would change all the zoning bylaws, create one new village business district bylaw, and then another village residential district bylaw.
Because I saw
And add
that one of
those.
his slides here said something about waiver from the zoning board of appeals. So that's why I was thinking that, you know, this is a change of business, it's going to a village center. So isn't that changing from a business to a?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as going to town meeting and all, but does it also require that it has to go to the ZBA for a special permit?
No, that's the way, it's the way it gets drafted. It could be drafted that it requires to go to ZBA, but you normally wouldn't want to require someone to go to planning board and then also go to ZBA. You usually want to have them do one-stop shopping, get it done, and get them approved.
And this also could help some of the people that are in the general residence that want to start a business.
Yeah.
Yes.
They could incorporate into that.
And that's where we kind of come up with a sketch and say, okay, the line over here is all business, and this is general residence, but it turns out, and this is what this guy right here wants to make his property a business property. It wouldn't be that tough to just say, okay, well, let's just move this line here as long as all the other neighbors are kind of okay with it.
And this
So-
would all be on one side, it wouldn't just be on one side of the street.
It would be an area. We would look at all the areas and kind of
So it could
evaluate
be
the
on both
space.
sides, within that area, it could be on both sides of the street.
Yes, right now, we're at the point where we can make all sorts of different changes. We we're gonna get the background information of what's going on. It was good to hear that 30% of the lots there don't have the required frontage, which kind of we all know from living there, but that's
Right.
just the way it's been for 50 years. And then half of them don't have the area. So just because the lot zoning says it's 40,000 square feet, they don't exist that way. So let's adjust or update the zoning bylaw in this area to get something beneficial.
But I had a conversation with Jeff before all this started, and one of the things I asked him is that I would think that it would be beneficial. First I asked him if any municipalities in Massachusetts have done this already. You know, he said Sutton, and he explained to me, you know, the two buildings. My suggestion would be is that once somebody has completely done this, someone as small as, you know, comparable to our town, I think it would be advantageous for the board to go out and visit, do a site visit, to see, you know, and talk to the people, to see, give general, you know, like you did for the trucks, you know, for the weight, you know, get people's opinions and see, and try to bring that information back so that when you do hold your public hearings, you know, you can say, you know, well, we went out to such and such and we talked to so-and-so, you know, this is the feedback that we got from them, this is what we're giving to you. I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
it's, you know, I think that would be very beneficial, not only to you, the board, making the decision, but also to the people, that when you go to town meeting, you know.
Yep, we'll have it
just a
there.
suggestion.
No, that makes sense. Any other thoughts or questions, comments?
Thank you for coming in.
I like the aerial
It's
pictures.
great. Yeah, I like the pictures.
Okay, thanks.
What do you,
The presentation was good.
you have something?
I like the pictures, that's all.
Oh,
No, we were complimenting it, the pictures and the presentation.
Yeah,
From
It's great.
construction that we've found.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
yes.
The only other question I had was about how you schedule your meetings in December.
We,
We just have one meeting in
Right.
December, it's on the 13th.
December 13th, okay. That would be what I will aim for. Except if you can imagine, I'm working on a bunch of different projects with a bunch of different towns, and planning boards usually meet Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and so December gets really jammed up, and I would never ask for you to hold a special meeting. So there is one, I think I have the ability to potentially save some of my hours and come to you in January. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have a little bit of wiggle room if I need it. That if I couldn't
yep,
come on December 13th, maybe I could arrange to come at one of your first meetings in January.
that's fine with us.
January 10th or January 24th.
Okay,
Second and fourth
all right,
Wednesdays.
that's very helpful, thank you. So I'll reach out to Melanie when I'm approaching that. I would love to this time get some things to you ahead of time, especially if I'm giving you like a report. I'll try to get something to
We should have priority.
ahead of time.
Well,
Great.
I think this is
Okay.
great. Excellent,
Okay,
thank you.
great,
very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
It's great time we'll find an extension.
I'll bring one.
Were we still having senior center discussion?
Yep, it's in the back room.
Oh.
All right. Move on, the next on our agenda is a senior center discussion. I know Tony's not here, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
It scares me that you know Tony.
Well, he's been there a couple of times.
Where do you want me to set up? Over there or over here?
Right there, I think the cameras are set to look over there when they were doing that.
My name's Bill Morgan with Places Associates. We're planners, landscape architects, civil engineers, and surveyors. And we're working with project architect on the senior center. Hard to read, reduced scale handouts. Anybody wants to take notes? The handout doesn't match the plan that's on the board, the colored plan that's on the board, because this plan, everything on the project is changing ever so slightly. Tony is in fact in the building. The building committee is meeting as we speak.
What are you doing up here? Why are you here? Why aren't you?
and they're
I'm on subcommittee.
hopefully pinning down some decisions on the project as a whole. I don't know how much time I have with you, so I will try and keep
2
this-
hours.
2 hours?
No.
John,
10 or 15 minutes. if
John said, he left out those things, if
Yes.
you want to.
Yeah, he left me these, the architect's standard format are what I call bed sheets, so like this.
Oh, yeah.
So I made my plan smaller, because that was just too big.
He said, if you want to, you can use it.
I saw him upstairs, so thank you. Okay, just very briefly again, I'm from Places Associates, Bill Murray. I'm a registered landscape architect and the project manager. And what I wanted to do, what we always try and do is we always come to the permitting entities as early on in the process as we can. And when I say as we can, this design hasn't been finalized, it hasn't been approved by the building committee, but it's moving forward. So we've got a lot of answers to questions, but it certainly hasn't been, this is not what you will see when I make a final site plan submission to you. But I did want to show you what's going on and explain our thought process, and then see if that follows what you think is a reasonable thought process, or if you have any ideas or comments. So it's a single-story building, it's a slab on grade, no elevator, no grade changes, it's going to be relatively flat. I don't know if anybody or all of you are familiar with the Mixter site. This is the top of the knoll, the hill. The ball field is over here, it drops off, Horseshoe Drive is down over here. This is the existing driveway, and this is where the school used to be. So what we've done to date is earlier this week we had a department head meeting. We met with the police chief, the fire chief, the water department, the DPW. The electric light department wasn't able to be there. And we got a whole lot of good input from them. It will be served with public water off of Prescott Street. Sewer exists in the Horseshoe, so we'll be tying into sewer over there. Gas is over there. And all the electric light and communications will come off Prescott Street. The current plan, and I'm trying to be really specific about that, is we're going to cut the paving here and cut the paving here, leaving this as a bid alternate. So the first thing that we want to do is, of course, get the building and the site built. The bid alternate is going to include widening this driveway, replacing the alligator pavement that's there, and relocating the sidewalk so that it's not immediately adjacent to the paving. One of the things my office certainly does is wherever we have a sidewalk adjacent to a road, it either needs a vertical curve or it has to be set back for the safety of the pedestrians. The whole project as it's designed is really flat from here to here. A drainage basin would be installed here, a rain garden would be installed here, and that's all we're going to need to achieve our stormwater quality standards. But there's a caveat to that. What we're doing is we're taking the Mixter building, the old school, and we're saying that's the pre-development condition. And then we're comparing that to this proposed development. And what that does is it reduces our impact, the size of the storm drainage system. And we'll be able to demonstrate through engineering terms and any peer review that what we're doing will accommodate, won't impact the neighbors, and will mimic the pre-development condition pretty straightforwardly. Very hard to read on my plan, a little better on yours. We have 51 parking spaces throughout the site, three staff in the back. Most of the parking is here, and it's intended that this would be a one-way circulation. This is a covered portico so that you could do a drop-off, then come back around and park in. 12 of the spaces are accessible, but as I mentioned before, the entire parking lot is going to be graded so that the entire parking lot is accessible, which means 2% or less. It'll be vertical granite curbing around the periphery of the parking lot, but no curbing here. The intention is that all of the drainage will come to here. Snow plowing, storage, and everything else would occur just above this little basin, and that's all we'd need. So we'd have no catch basins, we'd have no manholes, and the only pipe drainage would be the roof drainage, which would go either to the rain garden or to the basin. And that's what we call country drainage. It's real straightforward, very low maintenance. DPW should be able to handle it, and we don't have any fancy systems to deal with. We do have a tiny little wetland on the property out here. What this was historically The mixer building had a pipe that came here from the roof drains and these parking lot drains all dumped out here, and this is a bordering vegetated wetland. There's a tiny little wetland over here. The town's GIS has a little wetland over here, but I flagged that. And we'll be going to the Conservation Commission to prove that it's not a wetland. So it's a very straightforward project. We're not 100% sure at the moment where water will be coming in, but we know for sure gas and sewer are going out there. As I had mentioned before, circulation would be in here, maintaining this circulation. Parking, we will repave or repaint, parking that existed here, parallel parking over here, and then we'd mark most of this to be no parking along the edge towards the senior center, because that's what the fire department would want. One of the things that's been pointed out to me, it's likely that the operations of the senior center aren't going to coincide with the use of the playground. So what we're really effectively doing, not always, but most times, this parking will be available to the playground. I do have floor plans if you want to see them, but that's that big roll back there from the architect. Site lighting, we will be doing some post lights on the sidewalk here. We'll be doing lighting around the periphery, and then lighting will be shining from here inward with very shielded, this is going to be all covered. This is a covered porch, so that's all soffit lights. So we're taking into consideration the fact that all the lighting is shining towards the building. We're not going to grade or alter into the tree line in any location, and we've located the significant trees that exist on the site. The island's going to stay, the trees are going to stay, and we're going to update the flagpole, but we're not going to replace it. We're hoping to have a stone dust path. It may meander a little bit more around the site so that we can have a walking loop around the property. There's a little basketball area that's going to go away. We're going to take that up. There's a little paved area over there. That's going to go away. We're going to take that up. This area here is going to be reserved for exterior activities to support the senior center, maybe a raised bed herb garden. And we haven't actually determined what the outdoor sports will be, bocce or horseshoes or something along those lines. But that's what we're essentially proposing there. A dumpster will be here, and all the utilities come in the rear, so that this is a very straightforward. The police chief, the police chief has seen it, but the fire chief has seen it, and we've addressed his concerns. He gave us commentary. He can get his major apparatus in proximity to the building, and an ambulance should be able to pull right up to the front door. What did I miss?
You're going to maintain the access down to Horseshoe Drive?
We are. We're probably going to dig up the actual paved path, because that's where the sewer line is going.
Okay.
One of the things I didn't mention is we've done soil borings all over the site, and this is ledge at 2 to 3 feet over in here.
Isn't there a building buried there too?
There's parts of a building buried there.
Not good parts either.
The hard parts, yeah. I don't know where the ledge is along that road, but since the sewer line's going there, if the ledge is less than 3 feet, we're probably going to raise that path up a couple of feet, and that's going to give us earth insulation above the sewer line. So rather than ram hoe or do anything to remove the ledge, we'll bed the sewer line above the ledge, insulate it, and then give it a earth cover. So we're probably going to dig it up and then replace it in kind. There's drainage. There's already a drainage little system over there. It will. Well, I don't know the answer. They're making a decision even as we speak as to whether this is going to be a shelter, a warming shelter, or whether it's going to be a full shelter. So I can't tell you today whether we're going to have a generator to support the building or not. We are going to have a fire pump, and that's going to have its own dedicated generator. But the building committee's making that decision right now. If we do, this is the utility yard, and that it'll all be back here. And as I said before, we meet the screening requirements of the bylaw. My office is land surveyor, so we did the survey for the project and the wetlands delineation. The only other thing I have is just the schedule is we're likely going out to bid mid to late December, possibly the very first part of the year. So I heard when your next meeting is, so that is now my new target, to try and get a site plan to you for your next meeting. I can't warranty that I'll make it, but we're gonna try. We also have to go in front of the Conservation Commission, and we're gonna be generating about 3,600 cubic yards of excess earth. So we'll be going in front of the earth removal board as well.
Can you use that to grade up or fix up the,
No.
never mind, he said no.
Well, the Recreation Committee has asked the Building Committee whether they can combine or incorporate improvements to that ball field along the same timeline as ours. And I just learned about that on Monday, because we are going to need to bring a new water line in from Prescott Street, and it's going to be over here. There's an existing water line that's over here, but it's old. It's made of transite, which is also known as asbestos concrete.
Oh, nice.
And we really don't want to touch it.
It's abandoned.
Yeah, we don't, this is a $3-4 million building. We don't want to rely on an old pipe that if you touch it, it might break or any of those kind of things. So we're bringing in a new ductile iron pipe for fire suppression and domestic water supply. So to answer your question, we're hoping that the two projects can work hand in hand, especially if we have to dig through or behind the ball field. What better time when we have heavy equipment out there?
I haven't been up there, is that still flood every once in a while?
It's not as bad as it was, but
Okay.
that was flooding, you do get a good amount of flow
You
off
get
that
ducks
side.
in the spring.
Yeah. A hard pack.
Yeah.
We
It
play
is.
a lot of games out there, but
Yeah,
yeah. it's- And that, I'm kind of surprised that you hadn't heard about that field usage, because that's been in the open space rec plan for a year and a half, and I would,
No,
hope
the
people-
overture from Recreation to the Building Committee is, I guess, a new thing.
okay, well, that's good, because
To try and make
we would
that
want
up.
that. The only other thing that kind of jumped out at me is that in our zoning bylaw, you're required to do drainage based on undeveloped conditions, not
Actually-
no building.
Yeah, I read your zoning bylaw very carefully. It says, the conditions in place at the time of the submission of the plan, or if it's a phased development, the precedent condition. And the precedent, this is clearly a phased development because the town planned the process of demolishing the building in preparation for developing it for another municipal use. So that's why we think this is not a stretch of the imagination. And then I and I can do this with another engineer as well, if peer review is what I'm talking about. Shallow depth's the ledge out here anyway. So I already know that, between the demolished building foundation and the shallow depths of the ledge, I've got really not advantageous soils. And I can demonstrate that through the studies that we've done. Groundwater in this area just doesn't go in the ground, it runs off.
So, and the other requirement is that you meet the DEP stormwater standards?
No problem. Yeah, we do that every day.
I mean, well, we've had people come in and they haven't done it, and then they have to redo everything, so it's.
No,
So we'd rather tell you up front and be ready for it.
We review on behalf of 4 other towns for this. We stand on your side of the table as review engineers. In addition, currently I've got a police station and a senior center under construction, public projects in Walpole, doing a police station at Dartmouth, police station and fire station in Rowley. So we do public sector work. This is our bread and butter, and we're very familiar with those criteria.
How many senior centers have you done?
This is my 3rd.
Do they like the other 2?
Pardon me?
Do the towns like the other 2?
Well, one's under construction, so
Okay.
hopefully they'll like it. That one was really challenging. That's Walpole, and it's on a remediated Superfund site.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
there's no earth that can't be covered. All earth has to be covered by 18 inches of clean fill.
Wow.
Yeah, a challenging site.
And where was the other one, the one that's done?
Pardon me?
Where was the other senior center that's complete?
In Western Mass, East Long Meadow.
Okay. Never heard that.
The driveway on the left seems to serve no purpose. That big, I know that's where the old driveway was. No, on the left-hand side.
The loop?
Yeah, the loop. That's where the old loop was, I guess, in front of the school.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to really serve a purpose here.
There's head-in parking for the ball field there, and that's what I had mentioned. We'll probably restripe it and add some, if we expand, we'll probably expand enough to give some parallel. Our goal is not to lose parking for the ball field.
Okay, so angled parking
Yeah.
or something there? Okay.
Right now, it's of a width that you can do head-in, straight 90 degree,
Yep.
and you still have 24 feet behind, so it's 44 feet wide, and that's
Okay.
a roadway, so we don't really want to change it. If we do change it, the condition of the asphalt is pretty bad, it's alligator. The curbing may have once had a 6-inch reveal, it's actually a slope granite curb. So we'd reset that. There is a sidewalk that goes from here to here, and I think we'll abandon it because it really doesn't serve any purpose. But
Okay, so parking for the ball field, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And, you know, we're pretty sensitive to the fact that we want to make it better for them, not worse.
That's what we're looking for, so that's good.
Yeah.
So the circulation is going to be one way, going this way and then?
Yes, yes, we're gonna mark it one way,
Uh-huh.
all the way around, and including here. So this,
That goes up and then get out.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, so if you do make that one-way loop, you could actually add parking on the right side too. Because if you got 24 feet of.
We potentially could.
If we had to.
Yeah. Again, so that one's not set in stone, the one-way aspect. We know that we would prefer interior to the parking lot that it be one-way, because a single direction for the seniors, most seniors are excellent drivers, but some aren't, and you want to make it.
One bad apple.
How'd I do? I'm learning a lot with designing these senior centers. So if you make it unidirection, then they're really only, when they're backing up, they're looking in one direction, and moving forward, they're looking in a single direction.
Do you want them to make the spaces wider to help this out too? They're 9 feet, you could go to 10 feet or something like that to make it easier.
Yep,
Yeah,
just means more impervious.
I don't know if you need that.
Okay.
Shade trees, I see the little green spots, so those.
I haven't, I read the
Bylaws.
bylaws, but this is just to make sure that you know we're gonna put trees on it.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
On the back, the trucks goes in one way and get out on the same day.
Yep.
It's gonna pull them back in.
Pull in and back
Back
in.
in.
So the plan that we gave to the fire chief is we showed him, we have a program called Auto Turn, and you input what the fire truck dimensions are, and it will model it on the screen. So we proved to the chief that the single unit, the pumper truck, not the ladder truck, can pull in here, back up, and come out with just the one movement. And that's the important part.
So the fire trucks goes behind, not the front?
The fire trucks will go wherever they
Yeah.
want. The fire department connection is gonna be here. So the pumper truck will respond here, somewhere in the driveway here, because the hydrant will be here, they'll connect to a hydrant, then they'll power up the sprinkler system here. It is gonna be sprinkled, but they boost the sprinkler system.
That should be enough for the regular delivery trucks too, right?
Correct, yeah. They only have, most of the deliveries are box trucks, they don't have 18-wheelers. And that's the dumpster, and the dumpster enclosure is gonna be similar to what's at the police station.
Not chain link.
I haven't seen it.
Not chain link.
Not chain link.
Not chain link.
Yeah, and then I think we just resurfaced Prescott Street, so I like the idea of not having trailer trucks and the real heavy trucks going up and down.
Yeah, I heard that conversation was interesting. Oh, it was. As I said, we reviewed for other towns, it's a good thought process.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you guys are going in the right direction. I don't see any pretty little green circles on the backside where the deliveries are, and it might not be a bad idea to plan on some landscaping in there. I know you meet the 30 feet, but it's always nice to put a couple of trees placed.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if anybody's been out there, but up over here is the town's nursery. And there are apparently some surplus trees that we'll be able to use here. And I already looked at some, the ones that are living are actually pretty good species back there, so.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of ledge up there, so
Yeah.
you can get real deep.
There's a hollow in here.
Yep.
And this is the peak of the hill, where we hit the ledge. And
Did you go to grammar school there?
Yep.
A lot of miles on that. So that looks good. Oh, you said you were taking up the asphalt that's down in the Pine area?
So this is gonna be a bid alternate. If the bids come in suitably, then we're gonna commit to reworking that. But if they don't, then that's not gonna be part of this project, and it may have to be a town entity doing it, or it waits.
We may do it with the chapter 90.
I use that one. No, I was actually talking about the asphalt, the little square that's down.
Oh,
in
yeah, here.
Is that, we had someone come in, and I'm trying to think of the name, the new great game for elders.
Oh.
Pickleball, I think it is.
Oh, pickleball.
Oh, pickleball.
So I wasn't sure if that might be a spot, if there's interest. I really don't know, but there was comments when we did the open space and rec plan that they wanted to have some place to play pickleball
Yeah,
for the
we
older
would
folks.
focus all that up here.
Anybody can do
For the
it.
simple reason that there is a residence fairly close here, and even though that's been there for a long time, we're probably gonna pull it up. There's a big old septic tank here, I'll just mention it, that we're going to remove the manholes. It's gonna be drilled through and broken in the bottom and filled with a sand slurry and then backfilled and planted over. We're not gonna pull it out, at least we're not planning on doing that right now. But it's gonna be rendered safe, inoperable, and draining. So that's part of the project. It kind of creates a little plateau.
So
Yes,
how-
pickleball. I don't know what the outdoor, the seniors haven't told me what the outdoor sports that they truly want are, so I don't know what we're gonna accommodate yet.
So how soon was this going to go out to bid? What did you say for bidding?
Towards the end of December. They're hoping to get bids in late January, early February, when contractors are short of work, looking for their spring start, and this is likely a year's construction schedule.
That sounds good. It seems like we're protecting what we wanted to protect and making improvements, so that sounds good.
I know when I went there for the first time, I said, "This is my site? Really?" It never happens like that, a big, beautiful field.
Is there, well, I don't know, has the group talked about having like a little playground in the area for, I know there's a whole lot of houses on Horseshoe Drive that
Yeah.
ties in.
Yeah.
To make a benefit to the neighbors, put in a swing set where the grandparents can play with their kids or something like that. I wasn't sure if that's been considered in the site layout. It doesn't need to be done as the construction, but I'm not sure if there's that little low area by the septic
I was just
tank.
saying no.
He keeps shaking his head, but that doesn't mean anything.
Our playground used to be in the
But
back.
I will tell you that intergenerational play is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there swings
Convince
there
our
now?
FISP committee of that. That would be nice.
Are there swings there now?
They used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to be a
Used to
whole
play in
bunch.
the back.
Playground out back, I just didn't know what it,
Unless the
What's up there?
planning board said want to donate a thing, we can put it
I
down.
got a swing set I gotta get rid of, actually.
I have
That's a
one
good
too.
idea. Yeah, get the
It's
DPW
not to
down
code.
Yeah,
Yes.
just take it out of the backyard for me?
there. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
so you are donating it, you're on TV.
I don't think they want
I don't
it.
think I want mine.
It has to meet code.
Right, yeah, a different code.
There's a code for mine.
All right. No, I think that's good.
So thank you for donating the playset.
No problem. I aim to
He
please.
donated the idea.
No.
Right.
That's it. I mean, those are the big issues. The drainage, the lighting, you've gotta get sconces and stuff.
Yeah, the lighting, I guess, the light fixtures will mimic that. They're full cutoffs, so that the lighting here will only shine forward. The back spray will be down and behind the pole, and that's it. And very much true out here, so that we will have a photometric plan when we make it. All right, so the way this is probably going to work is I will make the submission, and prior to the public hearing, I'll be bringing in the photometric, because that's one of the last things that we do, and it's probably not going to be ready for submission, but we will have that information to you and any peer review.
Yeah, that goes to our peer review and
Yep.
and they look at the perimeter and say, okay, it's less than .1 along everywhere on the property line, so we're good. But,
That shouldn't even be close to an issue.
yeah, so that's good.
Okay.
I
Then your
take
agenda-
criticism, it doesn't hurt my feelings, Senator.
Yeah.
Later,
Where's
we'll
the
see.
sign go?
That's a good question.
Well,
And the existing mixer sign, ball field sign is here, so we're probably going to improve that Municipal signs are allowed as long as they comply with the regulations. So we'll probably have a schematic sign as part of the
We
submittal.
can put an electronic sign,
Yeah, and both people that drive up.
Very bright.
will see.
No,
and also
That
the
was
image,
watching
with the image.
yeah, no.
Animating.
to see-
It
Senior
may be-
citizens
Come on,
play
let's
pickleball.
keep it professional.
It may be
here.
downlit.
It's town, right. There, it's clear, we just did the sign bylaws over, so it should be understood.
Yes, right. There is a flagpole that's going to be restored. It's not being replaced. And that will have uplights so that the flag can fly legally.
Mark, unless if you want to donate,
Donate one.
One
Black
that
ball?
saved.
You don't have a flagpole.
no, you can
All
donate.
right, we gotta keep this
Don't have one
meeting
to
going.
donate.
Okay.
That'll be the only thing saved
Any other
from my
questions?
childhood.
Nope.
Thoughts? No, that's great.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to get some donations for that.
All right, next on our agenda,
137.
137 Shrewsbury Street.
Is that on the sign now? I didn't do my homework, by the way, again. I know. I was gonna skip the meeting completely, so I didn't have to admit to it.
Let's work on this one
You admit it
first.
every week, Mark, so
I know.
today's not a different day.
Exactly.
It's a different day, same old story.
Yeah.
So we asked for kind of an as-built to go along with the field six, like the dugouts.
That's good. All right, so
So pretty much that's how we're sitting right now. So we've got these three buildings that are going in right now. These foundation be poured tomorrow. This will be poured on Monday. These are the 5 buildings that are existing.
Great.
The dugout's back up to this building right here. This is another dugout back up to the building right here. The asphalt and pavement, obviously, they're shell shaded fence line.
And
So-
this is on the property that you acquired?
Correct.
You
So-
acquired it, including,
No, so the house that we purchased is, this is the stone wall that's right there,
Okay.
that's
So
in the
that's
property
still-
right now. So that's in these drawings right here, I'll show you
Okay.
what the future is, but if we need an asset, we bring a kind of an.
what we have is, we approved a plan and it had this all as an underground, or,
It's the
Underground.
underground, the water, the drainage, the whole property basically is under here. So we really couldn't do anything here as far as asphalt or anything
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole concept came in with.
so, right, so their plan that we approved did not have a ball field.
Right.
And so what he's coming in is saying, okay, well, instead of having grass there, we've got a ball field. And so I thought that we should look at it as, and consider it as an amended plan, or as a minor change that we can
It's a minor
incorporate into the as-bills, that's what.
Right, so basically we put a fence up and.
I mean, the amended, we'd have to have a small hearing?
We would have to get feedback, yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to post a hearing, but would consider it and have them submit.
Did you see any reason to do that instead of a minor change?
If it's grass, it's grass, I mean, he's not gonna have runoff in a baseball field.
Right,
I mean,
no,
it's
I'm
pretty
just thinking
flat.
that a minor change is easier to, as far as to manage.
Yep.
There's not really much to do, this is about it.
Yes, right, right. But it's,
I honestly didn't even think about it.
Right.
So it's kind of I just thought grass was grass.
yeah, and it's,
Yeah, no, I don't think I think it's nice to know that it's a ball field, that's about it.
Yeah.
well, and also in our as-bills that we've signed off on, it doesn't have a ball field there, and when you walk out there, I
Right.
guess it's, I
Right.
haven't been there, but
You
it's.
know, we're fine, it's kind of shaping up, yeah.
So are there any other thoughts for the board? And
The only other thing is, how's it standing with I saw some letters last meeting
The DCR?
from the DCR that said you're supposed to put it all back the way it was.
Yeah, that, to be honest, that was kind of my mistake. I thought that my LSP had contacted the DCR about
Okay.
bringing the drip grade up, putting the riprap wall, getting the drain to go away from the stream. I thought it was 100% approved. I just took for granted that they had sent the DCR.
So,
I was kind of
I
watching
mean,
emails.
that issue is straightened out?
I printed all of them and I dropped them off at John Scannell's office.
Okay.
And
Good.
It's been 3 weeks, so I haven't heard anything, so I'm hoping that no news is.
Well, it took a year and a half to get the first letter.
I
I don't know what you're gonna do.
But when I saw that letter, I was like, I
Yeah.
guess I didn't see
Some
my
of them,
name.
I'm like, that's a rough one.
Yeah. So anyway, I actually dropped off both letters, because there was one letter that the Ecotech engineer, Scott Morrison, wanted more layman's terms, if you will.
Yeah.
My LSP speaks way above everybody's head. So I sent that letter, and then I sent the revised letter that was twice as long, that made more
Okay.
sense. So I literally walked to his office.
Everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
handed them to him, the town has a copy, up from the LSP, so everybody's on, basically everybody on that email, on the
On that letter?
I walked around and gave everybody letters
Okay.
too, so.
I just wanna make sure that's not gonna
Yeah, give me both.
come back later.
But at the end of the day, I mean, they just wanted to make sure that the fill that we used was from here, so we weren't supposed to remove the fill.
Yep.
We put it over here, we had to put riprap wall in because they wanted me to go away from the stream, so, and then I planted grass.
And the trees were sort of
We're
inconsequential
actually,
thing now?
yeah, we're actually, the LSP, we're gonna put trees on the property, it's just a matter, we don't, with the construction still going on right now, we don't know exactly where they're gonna go.
Okay.
We have a tree list that is approved trees, we're actually wanted to put, the LSP wanted us to replace 27 trees, we're putting 47 on.
Oh, nice.
So, but we just can't do it with
Right now.
everything still going on, and
Right.
timing of the year, so.
Right.
By springtime, we're gonna be putting close to 50 trees.
Okay.
And then this is kind of what.
Hold on.
Oh,
So
sorry.
you're moving along, when do you think you'll have everything constructed and coming back with an as-built? Because you need to get an as-built approval. so you
Yes,
don't wanna-
probably, like I said, they're pouring these two foundations tomorrow. These buildings, material will be on site on Friday. They're waiting to pour these because they won't be able to get the concrete truck in here. So they're gonna dig this foundation, pour it on Tuesday, that steel will be there on the 15th. It's 2 weeks per building and 6 weeks for this, so middle of January.
What, you'll probably, hopefully you'll only get a temporary certificate of occupancy
Correct.
until we review it and say the site plan's done, so we don't wanna
Correct.
hold you up, so.
Correct.
When you're getting close, I mean, we don't worry too much about all the little pretty stuff, but
Right, especially
we'd be
for
looking at the
sheds.
as-built.
It's not like people moving in.
Sheds and
They're
lawns.
gonna move grandma's dishes in.
Right, and you're keeping VHB aware of all the construction, our review engineer?
Yeah, actually, they're coming out tomorrow, meeting them on site tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Perfect.
So everybody's been kind of communicating pretty well.
Good. Yeah, I haven't seen any bad emails. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. All right. So the board, do you want a motion that we accept it as a,
Minor change, a motion that will accept this modification to the plan dated
well, we could take them as a as-built?
8/7?
Sure.
Rev 5.
Yeah. Yes, that'd be 8/7. Yeah, 8/7.
8/7/2017, as a minor change, and we'll fully document it on the as-built.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, one more.
And again, this is just a preliminary something, I just wanted to show you how we divided the lots up after we purchased the houses.
Copy of the drawing? Are you gonna read these? Just so
Yes,
that
I
you
do.
have-
So looking at this upside down, you have, this is the existing building right here, so the field will be directly behind it. You can kind of see the shadow from the field. We're looking at turning this into a buildable lot next door. This is where the house is sitting right now, that we've already purchased. These are the next two, the
Yep.
Larrabee family will be selling to us a year from now. So right now, what we did
Oh,
is,
really?
yeah,
Okay.
so we put an access back to the lot back here. So we're kind of just trying to make as many buildable lots as we can out of all of.
What kind of use is that? You had a 12,000 square foot?
They just put that on there. I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably gonna be closer to 15 or 20,000. It's basically just a warehouse. Kaufman Companies is looking at basically purchasing everything.
So all those houses are gonna go away?
So this house is, yes, this house is probably gonna go away. I think we're gonna use that as a winter project for the contractors, just to demo that. I've already met with the water department, the gas is turned off. I met with the fire chief. This is just a garage. I actually thought it was a house, but it's not. It's just a garage.
Oh, that's the one in between.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one that's gonna be going next, and then this is the last one that they're gonna be moving out of.
That's the Larrabee's.
And
Yes.
where does your property go and the DCR's?
Currently, where does it go?
DCR's property basically is way back here.
Goes way back there.
Yeah, so you've got, this is big, this.
Because
zoomed out
remember
pretty
the
hard.
A&Rs were just this
Yes.
weirdo thing.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the-
so they cut the property back here, and we ended up selling all of that to the DCR. This is the lot that we used to cover
Cover
it.
that?
Yeah.
Oh,
back
for
here.
that drainage or whatever?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is another large lot back here. We're outside the 400-foot buffer. I mean, it really doesn't require too much back there, but it is a huge lot. It's over 6 acres.
Yep.
So right now, the reason why we did this is just to say, hey, we've got 1, 2, 3 buildable lots right now. In the future, we'll have 4.
Where's the frontage from that back lot? On this road, down there?
Hartwell Street?
Yes, so you've got frontage, and if you look, it's kind of weird what he did. He basically outlined.
That's what I mean, that
easement
was
to
weird.
connect, but I don't need to have this with his road frontage. At the end of the day, I'm gonna own all of this property for my businesses,
Okay.
and that's where the baseball field is, so.
That was what I was concerned about, was all these sort of little
Yeah,
trace.
so I'm gonna have to go for a variance for the frontage here, but after speaking with them, they said as long as it goes back to a large enough lot, because this is only 100, I needed 150 to be zone commercial.
He's the man.
Oh, okay. The woman upstairs that I was speaking with, who's in our corner office?
Anita?
Oh, Anita, okay.
Yes. So, I mean, again, when we sit down and figure all this stuff out, she said that she would look at.
It can be reduced to 100, it should be 150.
Right.
Unless it's.
Yeah, I forget what the
It's
zoning is.
50 feet shy.
It's
of-
business.
If it's either 150, I've only got 100. If it's 200, I've only got 150.
Yeah.
So it's 50 feet shy.
Do you remember what
150 probably.
zoning bylaw that is?
For what?
The reduction to 100? Because I got a feeling in my head that it might just be for residential, but,
I think it is, I don't think it is for commercial.
so that's what I wanted to check before you get
Yeah.
going down the wrong road.
Yeah, and again, this is just.
And you need 50 feet of frontage from here if you had to give it up?
If I had to, yeah. Or when we purchase this, I'll move.
When you purchase the other.
Oh, okay, all right,
So there's potential to do whatever we
Okay.
need to do.
all right. Because, yeah, I think, and that's what I wanted to check, but I thought there was a special permit is allowed to be granted by the ZBA for reduced frontage. Man,
But only residential?
I thought it said something about residential, but that's why I wanted to check.
Commercial is 150,
Right,
for
but,
2 acres of land.
Right.
yes, but is the
Residential
the
on.
the allowance due is for the ZBA to grant a special permit? Do you remember what that?
What section are you looking at?
It's gonna be under 3.2. What are we gonna consider it? What use, what kind of use is it gonna be? Business?
It's a
Yeah.
business.
I'm saying,
It's a business.
Commercial
Or
industrial.
industrial?
does that one show the zoning? Does one of the drawings show the zoning that exists?
Yeah, well, I'm
Look
pretty
at
sure
the
that's.
3.2.
Do you have it?
You said-
You said 3.2.
It's at 3.2.
3.2,
That's
that's
right.
the ones that's schedule of use regulations.
Right, but there's the,
You've got letters, I don't know what you're doing.
oh no, this is dimensional requirements, I was thinking.
Oh, you could mix it with this one, this garage.
I could, yeah, what we're also doing too is I'm purchasing this as well. So we thought it'd be a good idea to have access here and,
Oh, wow, the other side.
yeah, spin this building a little bit this way, then that way kind of help the traffic.
Spin the building, it's not built yet?
No, this is just proposals.
So where, you have it on the other plan, where does the property line end on that plan? 'Cause I thought there was parking over in this corner.
There is.
On that plan?
Yes, this is the original plan.
So you've got,
Yes, so I can spin it. Yeah, so right now, we're looking at putting a building right here and just basically moving this, keeping this parking here. We have parking along the back, along the side, and along the front, and this is the property line right here. So what you were looking at is,
so you wouldn't lose, you have a certain number of parking that's required. By putting this
Yeah, 40.
building in here, you're gonna just move that
Move
parking
shift
somewhere
parking.
else and
47
add
spots
whatever.
that we needed to have.
As-
Which is
All right, as long as, yep.
More than what we need, 'cause-
Is it? Okay. I mean, that sounds fine. I just,
Yeah.
the building was there, I thought I saw parking in that area, so.
Yes, there's definitely parking in this area.
So,
And the building isn't gonna.
and then the access is gonna be up through
Yeah,
here?
all, basically, it would move these parkings, move this over here up against the property line, take away from this and just put it around the building.
10 feet off the property line.
Yep. 15 feet.
The spaces.
10 is required, 15 gives you a little mistake.
Yeah, I've got 15 off of the
That's
property
good.
here.
Can you park at the property line?
No,
Okay.
no, there's setback, they have to meet the side yard setbacks.
Without an easement, unless there's an easement.
Yeah, unless you've got an agreement
Like
with
you know
your
the guy that
brothers.
owns the
Yeah,
property.
we're probably gonna have parking easements.
You should be all right there.
Yeah. And that's what I'm doing with this gentleman. So this, he owns the Prescott Pipe across the street.
Okay.
So when he sells this to me, I'm gonna give him a lifelong parking easement in case he has to use parking. Yeah.
Yeah, he just stores pipe there.
Yeah, and I've got plenty of room for him to store pipe. Got plenty of
I
parking.
was surprised Coughlin's interested, because they just left whatever the property out here.
They're actually moving into the building I'm in now, 99 Hartwell.
Oh, yeah?
You know.
Right. I don't have it.
That's good.
I know, well, there's a zoning thing in there, and I don't,
Yeah.
So much interest. Like, we haven't even put this, I haven't put this lot on the market yet.
People are talking to you.
I met with a guy today. It's perfect for like a landscape company, because they got all this land. You know, they put up a
yeah.
25,000 square foot building, park of the their stuff inside, and still store bark mulch, store stones,
Right.
things like that. It's perfect for that.
is there a weight limit on that bridge on
Yeah,
Hartwell
that's
Street?
actually what we're looking into now, we're waiting to get back. That's the only kind
Oh,
of.
where's the bridge?
Right here.
Oh, okay, they would have to go
Where's
over
the
the
bridge
bridge.
tracks?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
road,
right there.
it's right in there somewhere. So that's just the thing that I was thinking.
And it's narrow too, you know, but for a landscape company, they don't need frontage, they just need a place to store a bunch of bark mulch.
And there's not a lot of vehicle trips on that road.
There's like literally, I think, I had a counter, and it was funny, because when 140 was shut down, we were seeing 30,000 cars a day on.
Oh, yeah.
30,000.
Oh, for coming around,
Right,
right?
because they couldn't go down.
This one's got 9.
Wow.
Right.
9 cars on the street.
Nine, not 9,000.
No, 9 single cars. And I think 3 of them were me.
Does this work?
Yeah.
All right, so I don't,
I
that's
don't know if we
something,
really need to do anything with that.
just check the zoning about
I
that.
will, like I said,
special
she
permit.
had told me upstairs, because I showed this to her already, and she had said that as long as it's, the reason why they put that in there is so that, you know, they don't have a 1 acre lot or an acre and a half. She said as long as it's accessing, you know, 2.5 acres, we could look at it. And at the end of the day, if I have to, if I use the frontage here and here, I can combine this lot with an
Right.
easement right here.
Right,
and
your
then
frontage would be
then
on
I'm
that
way
side.
over.
So your front lot, frontage would be off this,
Exactly.
and then this didn't, doesn't
Like I
have
was
to be-
saying, I would just spin this building just a little bit and have this over here, so that we could entrance, because traffic is starting to get, I know 140 was shut down, but traffic is starting to get pretty heavy out there, so if I had it one way in here, and then exit here, and then they can
Come
kind
back
of
through the
sit.
intersection.
Yeah, that's great.
That was. be a
So we're
lot.
trying to do that on the owners on Route 12, so
Yes.
that
Yeah,
works.
That's what we're
it's
trying,
ahead of
that's
us.
what we did with the storage unit, that worked out really well, just to the
Yeah,
entrance.
you have a loop.
Yes, and the vision is, you'd be surprised around this corner, the vision right here is so much better than it is the further you get to the
Further
corner.
down.
Yeah, you can't.
What's all of them here? What's-
Yeah.
And you're still, who are you using as engineering?
McCarty. Yeah. Well, McCarty's doing it, Quinn's helping out, I mean, it's kind of a big project, so.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
The
a- all
contractor
right,
uses
good.
Quinn, I use McCarty, so they kind
Okay.
of both.
Oh, you're not,
Everybody's
okay.
so busy these days.
Especially into November.
It's crazy. I know. I thought we were gonna get this stuff done for
Yeah.
November, like, nope, we're slammed.
So the other things we're looking at is you're gonna need to do drainage.
Yes, yes, they're working on all that stuff, like I said, when I was talking to you, I just wanted to kind of give you
Yep.
an idea of what, so we're gonna probably put a building here. The Coughlin plan was, they would put this building up now, just, you know, as a semi-permanent place. Then when these people move out in a year, they'd put their kind of like larger face front building
Right.
here, with their reception, accounting, and then their manufacturing back here. And they were talking about, you know, if they ever had to expand, then they could just put another building on the site instead of, because right now.
So they got both properties?
They would, oh,
No,
just
just
this whole corner.
Garage in the middle,
Yeah.
So,
that house and that house.
Yeah, well, we were looking at the properties in town, there's almost no industrial land left.
I know.
What kind of businesses you
Oh,
they
the
are thinking?
garage.
Coughlin?
It's their, they do medical supplies right now, is what they're using it for, the cosmetics. They're down off of Prescott Street in Worcester, and they just
Oh, really?
signed, yeah, they signed a large contract with, is it, what's the company, LG Computer Company? They're doing all
LG?
kinds
Oh,
of.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Washers and dryers.
Yes, yeah, everything.
Oh, really?
Keyboards, that company's huge, so they hire
Yeah.
companies like Coughlin to help out manufacturing, so they just signed some big contract.
Oh, good.
That's great.
So they're moving in, so I'm on Hartwell Street right now, with the Rudy's building that he redid with UPS.
Yep.
So they're taking this, there's one empty bay there, the other bay, the other guy was.
You're in the racing one?
Yes, that's mine, so they're moving into the bay next door of me, and then they're moving into the next bay, and then when my building gets done here, they're taking my bay over. And then when their building.
Oh,
gets
you're
done-
moving, that's what's moving over to here?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, it's gonna be, I mean, when it's all
Business.
done, it's, yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's good.
Anyone's gonna take over across from 99, who was it? The one, the old, is it Miter? What was that big old parking lot where they park the school buses on
Oh,
100
100 Hartwell.
Hartwell? Yeah, is anyone cleaning that
I
up?
haven't seen.
He's renting it, I mean, he's got that Well, that parking lot's now covered with stock from some electrical company.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
The one
As long as he's
that's
still
a huge
going.
building, so it's.
Yeah.
It's like across the street from.
Probably moving into that too.
Oh, really? Okay.
26,000 square foot building.
Okay, that's a big one.
Next to the.
Yeah, I saw the
adult
lease
center.
signs for years.
Yeah.
The adult center's to the left, and you got the big building in the middle.
The school?
Oh, the-
Daycare or adult living,
Yeah,
or whatever.
the senior center.
Next to the senior
Yeah.
center.
Yeah,
Next to
the
the
other
senior-
building.
Right
Okay.
next door, the real large building that's been
Yeah.
leased for years.
Oh,
That's where our senior center is right now.
That's 140.
No, next to the senior center we is talking. We
Yeah.
have the senior center building, right?
Right?
Yeah.
There is another building, there is a.
I thought somebody was in there.
They left.
Oh, they left, okay.
Yes, it's been empty for.
Yeah, it's been empty for a
They
bit.
left.
Okay, well, great.
They put
Seems like it's
$1 million
falling
into
in.
that building for a lease.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Conference gonna own the town.
I know. Well, they, to be honest,
Just
they
pay a
were
lot
on
of
Hartwell
taxes,
Street.
that's
They were at the building that,
Yes.
McCarty's
Yes.
working on.
Yeah,
If they had done
they-
that instead of
Curtis.
Why
Curtis
do you
done
need
it.
town, why do we have to buy a town?
Has a brick layer, no,
It
see
is,
what
it is.
they got on.
Yeah.
We need to buy
Yeah.
that
Senior
for
center.
If it-
town.
yeah.
It is a great little area, just you let
I'm
Hoffman
saying, we
left,
said town.
and then now they're
something
trying to
to
get
get
back
back.
in, they said that they
That
did,
building.
290, 190 West.
Do we need to buy it?
Yeah.
140.
No, he was saying
Yeah, that's great.
Coughlin was interested in his building, another building, and that.
All right, so do we have any other comments on the plan?
I'm just concerned about
As they
the
get more
Makes
developed,
sense.
I'll.
Yeah, no, I think it's just good to get an idea, so that's great. Thanks for
I
coming
would
in.
just, keep an eye on that, the frontage. That's all.
Yeah, I get what
Yeah,
you-
obviously before I do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a lot of cards still falling with purchasing
Yeah.
this lot, and
Right.
as they move out, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them out of the garage earlier so that I can have a
Keep
little
going.
more frontage, right? If it
Yeah.
doesn't fall down before we tear it down.
The garage, yeah.
She's a little rough. So I'm just gonna take one copy and leave the rest of them to you
Yep,
guys.
that sounds great.
Do you need these two?
No, those
no,
you take, do you have these electronic? That
I
you
do.
could send send a copy to Wayne and Nico, or give it to him tomorrow when he's
Yeah.
out there?
Yeah, I can
Or
do
I
that.
guess Larry, whoever's going on. So they can,
Absolutely.
They'll know about it when the as-built comes through, they'll.
Yes, exactly. I'll copy the planning board and that way they can.
great, thanks.
Nice job.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
All right, what-
Have a good night.
You too.
we will.
Wanna-
Who's whistling here? Is that
I think
you?
it's his phone.
Back
Let
here.
me see if I can fix it.
Got a bird call.
Mine's a bird. That's an annoying whistle.
All right, draft letter for 307 Lancaster Street. That'll be quick, right? Draft letter for Bethlehem Baptist
Oh,
Church
okay.
or Bible Church.
That you guys read on Friday, both of you?
You didn't send it.
What?
I didn't see it.
Oh, wasn't that the one that you reviewed?
The one
Oh,
that I
no,
read?
okay. No, Bethlehem Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that one's mine. All right. Yes, I'm sorry. I was thinking
But
that
it
was
can be
one you were
quick,
gonna
that's
do.
fine, that's quick too.
All right, so we looked at that one. That's this, Bethlehem Bible Church. We voted at our last meeting to deny it without prejudice, and so I've written the disapproval, because our wording in our bylaws, I always try to go back to the bylaws and confirm that it's the way we do it, and I found out we don't deny, we actually disapprove, so that's the phrasing.
Okay.
And we've
Like dissolve
changed,
instead of adjourn.
Yeah.
right,
dissolve.
something like that, yeah, some legal terms. So we completed this. I did not get any comments of changes needed or additions, things that I forgot, so I'm assuming that it looks okay.
Good.
So we okay with signing this?
Yep.
We have this signature copy, so we don't really have to vote.
Didn't we already?
Yeah, we did vote, so
Is it November 5th date, or am I changing November?
November 1st, because it was,
Just wanted to make sure.
it was done on whatever the May 10th.
May 10th.
And then from May 10th, I just went 180 days on the, I put a Google search in, I said, what's 180 days from May, whatever it was.
Pretty much November.
But I don't remember if it was May 5th or May 10th, so if you could just check that before you do
It
the
was May
final.
10th.
Yeah, but I don't remember what I searched on Google, so.
Oh.
I don't know what you just said.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When we got it submitted was May 10th.
Okay.
Yes.
I might have thought that it was May 5th.
Yeah,
Because I had, the original is May 5th, so that might be that your number, your date is correct. So if you could just Google 180 days from
May 10th.
from May 10th.
And where it says voted as follows.
Yeah, what was the vote? I think we're all in favor, right?
We were.
I was.
I'm in favor.
Let's make a motion that Mark was in favor.
Mark,
Vinny, are they not doing this project?
I don't know, they
No idea.
sent something in May, and then we got two emails
We
from
need to
them
put
in the meantime,
green
and they didn't show up at any of the 5 scheduled public hearings that we kept continuing.
And
So,
there hasn't been any work being done out there.
Blue pen?
There was a couple of months ago.
Oh, there were?
There was I drove by there, there was a guy in the back corner, and he was doing something back there. I don't know what he was doing.
right. And while we're signing, sir, can we move you along, or you're welcome to stay, but I wasn't sure what.
Century Drive?
Century Drive.
8:30.
Psych right?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, why don't we,
Psychiatric facility.
Have you been sitting around for all that?
yeah, why don't we,
Yeah, come on up, sorry. All right, so we're just signing something, so if you, this is just for 100 Century Drive,
I think I need to,
a request to extend the time to do construction on our approval.
do I need to replace myself?
Oh, yes, because you
UMass.
Right,
You'd have to declare it. That's really what you have to do.
yep. Yeah, no, it's an extension, so. All right,
So Brian Flaw from Eric O'Connell here on behalf of Worcester Behavioral Innovations. You may recall last year, we granted site plan approval. 100 Century Drive is a property that sits on the Worcester-West Boylston border. There's a current office building on the Worcester side and accessory parking on the West Boylston side. Received site plan approval last year. The time to commence construction expires in January. For a variety of reasons, we will not be ready to commence by that date. And so, in compliance with the zoning bylaw, we're looking for an extension of that date for an additional year. The holdups were primarily, we needed a zoning amendment in Worcester, which we didn't get until May, which pushed back the closing, which has pushed back construction.
sounds easy. Any other questions? Yep, any motion?
what's the extension then?
For a year is what he's asking?
For a year? For a year?
Yeah, until January 11, 2019.
Okay, so from January 1st to January 1st.
No, January 11th.
11th to January 11th.
Okay.
Just extend it for a year, but, I mean, it's up to the board.
I would motion to grant the extension.
I agree. Second?
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate
Said
it.
that earlier, I wasn't sure we
Yeah, no.
had to get out of here.
I don't like to mess with your schedule, and you had consultants in, so.
It's all right.
You're done. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have to write a letter and notify the building inspector?
But we have a year, right?
No, we have to write it to say that we extended it. We have to get it out before January 11th. He's all set.
Thank you.
It's just paperwork. I gotta twist arms to get someone to write it, that's all.
Thank you.
I was just, can I just yell?
Yes, you can. So we signed, that one went back?
He invested a lot of time for a very short,
I know.
That's all right, he's got patience. All right, so next on our agenda is 184, 186 West Boylston Street as-built review.
Did we really receive that over a month ago? Oh, no, that's not a month ago.
So, where do we stand on the
The draft letter to Sarabian?
Arabian draft? Yes.
I haven't written it, but I was looking over that zip drive. Did you put anything on that zip drive? On the front one?
I thought so.
I couldn't find that.
Uh-oh.
And I looked at his, that CD, I'd like to return the CD because I took it from copy of what Norman's using. We can put this back into the Melanie file.
So this goes back into the 184, 186 file?
It's a little bit of
It's just one file.
Taylor's trick for you.
It's a drum. You could put
Yes.
it actually on the,
Yep,
New record,
yep,
new
it's got
CD.
this
Yeah,
part.
Henry CD.
sorry?
It's got this detail in it, the approved plans.
Oh,
Sorry. All right,
oh, the part that we're arguing. Okay.
well, the question, right,
So no, I haven't done it. I'll do it.
all right. Do we want to have somebody else volunteer to do it so that it may actually get done?
Sure.
What are you talking about?
We need to get a letter written, it's been 2 months, and I don't know.
About 2 months.
It was
It
supposed
was
to be
on
on
for 2 weeks, or 2 meeting periods.
2 meeting periods, sorry. All right, you'll be sure to get it to us?
Yes. I'll be
Oh,
sure to
yeah,
send it
we
to
don't
her.
have till December. There's plenty of time.
Oh, yeah, we only have 1 meeting in December, that's pretty good.
And in November, right? So
Oh,
that's why we need it in December.
In December?
We need it for this next meeting,
Yeah,
because
for the
it's a
next
month from now.
Yes.
Mark's all over it.
All right, I'll try.
Like ugly on a gorilla.
He's gonna be busy buying us all Christmas presents.
All right,
He's Jewish.
Did you want something like this?
Mark is gonna do it again, yes.
Festivus.
What?
Did you want something to, a letter to notify?
We have to, right, I'm not sure, how have we done extensions in the past? Does anyone remember?
Figure out who you did one for, see the thing in the file.
I think when we do extensions, it's because they're not applying for any permits or doing anything, so it doesn't matter to them.
Well, I like to improve communication, that's what our next zoning, our next item is, the zoning map update and the zoning list stuff. So we're trying to improve communication on all the permitting stuff, so it would be nice for them to know that the work has not been
Going to happen.
disapproved, so that he doesn't send a letter saying, oh, the planning board gave you until this date, not knowing that we've extended it now,
Okay.
so I want to draft a
How
letter.
you are planning to improve?
Well, wait a minute.
Hold on.
So do you just, you want to copy this letter and some little bit of our minutes or something that says, at
No,
the
we
meeting, we
just said-
voted to approve
We use
this extension?
our standard wording and just say that it's an extension, we've granted an extension in time.
We have standard wording for this?
No, well, not for an extension, but for any,
Oh, okay.
in conformance with the West Boylston zoning bylaws, section whatever it is, actually section
Okay.
3.6. Planning Board of West Boylston certifies that it discussed and voted to extend the site plan approval for an
Yeah.
additional year for blah, 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 and whatever lot it's called.
So it only needs to be like a paragraph or so.
Yes, and then just the signature stuff.
Okay.
We'll bring that into the next meeting.
Do you want me to write that too while I'm
Yes.
busy at work?
You want to do this? Yes.
What's
Want
that?
to take that as a guide?
Yeah, I think that, wait, don't you need that?
Nope, that's the scratch paper.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm gonna have to quit my job.
All right, can we turn that heat down again?
Just turned it up.
We just
You
got warm.
just turned it up?
Yeah, we just turned up. We're freezing back here. Let us warm up
Oh,
our
I got the
man
heat on
first.
my end.
It's because it's coming up on the floor, on you.
Looks like
That's right.
10 layers of clothes.
Yeah, if you put that on it, then it will go exactly on you. It will still warm it up.
I'm going to wear
And then you
shorts
put-
I
next
think
week.
I think it's coming my way.
I don't know, but maybe it's you that just,
You have a
Warm.
hot flash.
I'll wear my Speedo next week.
all right, so let's keep it going.
Or I'll take donations not to.
To what?
Where's Speedo next
I
meeting?
said, no,
It's
that's
so hot.
okay. You said, well, I'll take donations not to.
All right, so we're on to the zoning map update. There was discussions, you saw emails with town assessors. There was some discussions going on about interpretations of the zoning that were done based on the assessor information that's available online. And we met a group met on Monday, the chairpersons of the ZBA, Conservation Commission, Board of Selectmen, Board of Health, and Planning Board, myself. Did I miss anybody? And we talked about how to improve communication and some issues with working on permitting, to streamline the permitting and to help improve permitting questions and responses. And this issue of zoning came up, is where do you look, where does the building inspector's office look for the true zoning interpretations? And they have in the past used the assessor information, which is not, that's not the official record, and there are many errors that we found that are there.
Yeah,
So that some poor information was given out in the past.
right.
So now, we've corrected it, so now they're going to the official zoning map that's in the town clerk's office, but also the map that's on the town website, the zoning map that's on the town website it reflects the true zoning, but it hasn't been confirmed as that. So the selectmen are gonna talk about contacting CMRPC to evaluate or to research the zoning map that they have prepared, because they're the ones that have the GIS information. They're gonna research and make sure that what information they have is correct, and then provide the town with a detailed zoning map that has the lots, as well as the zoning lines and all the zoning information, so that that can be uploaded to our GIS database. So hopefully we're gonna get that. We haven't gotten a cost for it, so we're not sure how much it's gonna cost yet, so we haven't committed to it. But that was kind of the intent of where we were going, I thought, at that meeting. So hopefully we're gonna.
How did the assessor stuff, information get bad? Is it just out of date or just?
Well, it was done,
incomplete?
it was done years ago, and assessor maps are always just for a general valuation of the property to assess taxes. But now, because it's online, it's like it's real and exact.
Right.
Because you look at the assessor maps, and they got property lines that, according to assessor rules and regulations, the way they're designed, or originally were designed, those can be off by 30 or 40 feet and still be acceptable.
Okay.
But everybody looks at it and zooms into a real tight scale, so that they're assuming that it's correct, when in actuality, it's general lines showing the property somewhere over there. So we're trying to get away from that. And we're gonna try to get some coordination with all the GIS data, because in talking about this, I talked to Karen Perea, our IT person in town. She has had some questions and has been trying to figure out who owns the property, where is it stored, who does the updates, who makes sure that what is on the GIS site is the correct stuff. There's stuff on that site from Mass DEP, there's stuff from Coastal Zone Management, and that gets updated every once in a while. But there's nobody that's responsible for making sure that when it does get updated, ours gets updated. She put it on 2 years ago, or however many years ago she originally did it. She downloaded all the stuff that we asked her to download, but we don't know that that is the most current now, or that hasn't been changed. So it's got a date on it, but who goes and looks at the date for when the stuff was downloaded? So it's all in there, and it's correct.
So it's an amalgamation of stuff from different sources, what you're saying?
Different sources at different times, yeah. And so somebody's got to do it, and right now, I don't know that it's in anybody's job description. And I don't think Melanie's ready for that one.
Karen's doing it.
Yes, but I hear Karen's not gonna be continuing on forever, so she wants to have it. She's very conscientious, she's great, but she wants to make sure that it is correct and set up so that it works in the long term.
Yeah.
So that was our zoning map update. And the other is the zoning list and development coordination.
I
Oh.
still have one question.
Sure.
How the communication between the departments you are going to improve?
One of the things we talked about was to have agendas sent out to every member of the
All
boards.
the boards, yeah?
So when the Concom has an agenda, it gets sent to the planning board email, so that it goes out to all the planning board members. Whoever our Concom person is, they can just look at it and investigate if
Well,
something
I do
looks
have an issue with
strange.
this that I brought up with Leon back when we were doing
Leon?
this. Leon, that's how
That's a
long
few
this
years
issue has
ago.
been curdling around up here. the emails that we get right now with an agenda don't actually have anything in them. They just have a link to the other agenda, you know?
They have a link to the agenda,
Right.
yes.
I don't care for that. So there you go.
I
It's out
don't-
there.
you know
That's
what?
what we talked about.
I
That's
get
what
ya.
we talked about.
I agree with that.
I mean, I see every month, I see, all right, planning board or whatever, selectmen, somebody else's agenda's out there. Okay, well, what are they doing? Well, click through to this and on my phone, I get emails, great. I can look through an email, but if I have to look at that thing, it comes in.
Download
and it's some
that.
giant PDF.
Yep.
And I can't see it, I gotta scroll back and forth. scroll
I
back.
agree.
I mean, I would rather, and I told Leon this, and he started doing it for a little while. So just put the agenda in the email.
Yes, it's not very phone friendly, because most of us
Well,
are
the
looking at our phones.
emails can be, because the email kinda gets adjusted by the phone.
Yeah, the email, right.
Right.
You
But
don't
then
want
they
the
send this
PDF,
PDF
or you
with
don't
it.
want the website link?
I want the agenda, and when you send me an email that says, here's the agenda, I
Yeah.
want to open that email and say, oh, there's what they're talking about, not open that email and then click through to a link that's a PDF that gets downloaded that I
Yeah.
can't see.
You'll get an
Everything's a
attachment.
PDF.
I don't want
attachment.
anything.
There's
I
a
don't want
thing
any of
called
it.
a computer that has a bigger screen.
You know, well, then I'm never gonna look at them, you can just stop sending them to me. I mean, I don't look at that stuff on my computer, I look at it on my phone.
Yeah, but some,
Well,
the chairman has a no phone.
See? Even worse.
it's all different,
If
so
you
there's
could
all
fax-
different
If you could
ones.
fax it to the chairman.
Yeah, I don't get
Send
faxes.
it in mail.
Accent, yeah.
Send it in mail.
Don't get
Like a
faxes.
mimeograph of it, we'll send it to your house.
Well,
That's right, there you go. I need a mimeograph. So
That's
what we
okay.
discussed was getting the agendas to every board member. We didn't get into the details of how and why, because there is some, you can be on the listserv or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
that's how I
it's
get 'em
called.
all.
Right, so that is available there, but when we were talking at the meeting, we talked about it being sent from the clerks to the different boards, like boom, 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 here you go.
Independent of the listserv.
Yes. And I,
I think,
I think it's helpful though.
is that something
Just
that you
step.
could do for our agendas?
I could send it to whoever.
no, I think,
Right, because we would want to send it to the ZBA, the Concom, the Selectmen.
no, can I say something? Maybe Karen can set up an,
So that the public can see it.
Well, are we not going to do it public?
Well, we are, but these people are busy people that they want to get something. They ask for coordination, so
just
in
go to
an
the chair of
effort.
the person.
Nope, to the board.
Every member of it?
Just go, no, there's a link to every board.
no, but planning board,
Just planning board at West Boylston.
ZBA at,
Right, so just do those, so you have to put it to 4 emails.
What do you want?
Selectmen, Board of Health,
Health,
ZBA,
okay.
Concom, and I already get them, so we're all set.
Sure.
building inspector?
Building.
Oh, and building inspector, sorry.
That was a good link. It's the link.
That's right.
So it's only the agendas are going to.
So the agenda is the first step in trying to improve communication.
Okay.
The other,
So what good is?
at the meeting, hold on, at the meeting, when we were talking, I asked for when the building inspector issues a CO or does something else, to send us a copy if we've done a site plan review. If it's something that he's doing a house, a residential house where we have no interest, I don't need every CO that he gets. But if there's a site plan review that he knows has been done, we want to get the CO, temporary CO, whatever it might be, so we know what's going on. And he said he could do that. So that will help us a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's the only agenda. So we are not sending out the final decision?
We send the final decision to him. and-
No, to all the boards.
No, we didn't talk about, just agendas at this point.
So, but the agenda, if someone is interested, they can look at the town website.
Yes, but it's kind of like when.
That's true, we could just do that, just know that there are agendas.
Well, yeah, it is possible,
being sarcastic,
but
it didn't
we've
come
got,
across
no, it didn't, I was serious.
But being sent to us brings it to our attention.
It's right there, and we're all busy, we're all a bunch of volunteers, so if it comes to you on your phone or on my computer, we can decide
The
to
facts.
read it or look at it or not to. But
Or if only
if
the
I know that
So that we
there's.
don't have to sign up for each of the individual
Right.
agendas.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we could do, that might be easier, but
But see, for the ZBA, okay, when we have a petition, we're required by the zoning bylaw
that we have to send out a copy of the petition to the planning board, the Board of Health, and the Conservation. Okay? And we have to wait for each one of those boards to reply. Whether they agree, disagree, have no problems, whatever, okay?
So
Then we send that, then when Toby receives that, then she sends those out to all the board members and to the petitioner. So the petitioner knows, this is what the planning board, they discussed this at their meeting, Board of Health discussed it, Conservation discussed it. So we have to do that no matter what, okay? The problem is that people weren't getting information, you know? And like Vinnie said about with the building inspector, you know, he wasn't sending out. That's why with the 40B project, I've asked the building inspector to go out there or weekly, make a, look and see what's going on. If they have any problems, contact us. And then every month he comes and he makes a report to us. So, but this is why this all started, because it was just a lack of communications between the boards that, you know, needed to know what was actually going on.
Right, so it's a step in the right
Step,
direction.
yeah. Okay, thank
Do you have any other ideas, ways that we could?
I think,
improve?
for the email, maybe Karen can do this. So she can set up one email for combining all the boards, so that, the secretaries can be.
And that's what you said, Vinnie. That was the suggestion that you made.
Great minds think alike.
I didn't think of it, man.
I'm staying out of it now. You don't even want to send me something that I can look at.
All right, so any other thoughts?
Yes.
Good?
Yeah.
I would like it to be that, like, when I drive by the town hall, who cares? Somebody drives by town hall, and there's a whole mess of cars, it would be nice for you to be able to look on one calendar and know what meetings are in the building that night, rather than trying to figure out what meetings are in the building and then looking at their calendar. Like, oh, it could be.
Isn't that on the town website? It says calendar, and it has
There's
all
like
this.
6 calendars.
No,
Oh, there's one right on the front page.
Bring it up. Are we on it?
On the front page on my computer.
How long have you been on the planning board?
No, when I was looking at some point.
We'll make a carbon copy of it and send it to you.
Yeah.
I get it.
What meetings are tonight?
No,
They tell me I gotta go to a meeting, I go.
Board of Light
Otherwise,
Commissioners.
I don't need to know.
School
Let
committee.
them take care of it.
School committee, Board of Selectmen, Planning Board.
When you click through?
Yeah,
I bet their agendas come up too.
yeah, everything is
If you
there.
just click on
Too
it.
big to read.
Planning Board, time and agenda.
Too small to read.
Too small to read, too big to read.
Okay, they fixed it.
I think you have your phone maybe a little outdated.
You wanna borrow my phone?
Yes, can I? Okay, well, that's good then.
Little
Well, then I
outdated.
don't need the agenda sent to me, because I'll only look at the calendar.
So
Yeah, but then you
Right,
know
but
what you're
the-
talking about.
The agenda notifies you that something's on there, and it, like,
Okay.
whoever's got the selectmen, when they get it, if you don't wanna look at all the Board of Health, the Concom, the ZBA, and you're the selectman person, just look at least the select board agenda.
Okay, that's cool.
And if you're the Board of Health, look at the Board of Health agenda. And I don't remember who's who on each one, but,
You have to look at the ZBA.
yeah, we all have to always pay attention to
The
the
universe revolves around the ZBA.
That's right,
Well,
yeah.
no, only because the fact is there's a petition.
Right.
And you guys have to respond.
We have 30 days to respond, and if we don't respond, then it's assumed that we agree and love it,
Right.
which we never do.
But, you know,
Sometimes.
you can joke all you want about it, but in a sense, you're right, but it does help us when the
No, I
petition
know.
comes before us and we have all the information. Of course, we have Chris Olson on our board now, so
Right.
that helps us even more.
Right, yes, and you may not even need us, so that's good.
Perfect.
All right, so we've got that, our zoning, our list of items, actually, that's the older one.
This is the older one?
There's a newer one.
I thought that was the one you sent.
Nah, I sent one with 23 or 24, because I actually got feedback from
Wasn't it?
people.
What's attached to it? This was the old one?
There's one that has 23 or 24 items.
Oh,
This is the one I saw compared to the older one. Let's see what the other one is.
It's all right, well, I mean, generally, is this something that we would want to be sending and working with the ZBA on? I mean, with the,
Building inspector.
No,
building
The one I
inspector.
had previously was this one, it had 20 on there, and this one here has 21 on it.
All right, I sent one out 2 days ago or so that, all right, okay. I might not have sent you the most current one. It's possible. I'll send another one out tonight, but generally what I wanted to do was.
That's what was attached to it, 11.5. This was
Oh,
attached
okay,
to
so
it.
that's the one.
What I printed out.
All right, so maybe I didn't save what I was doing. That's a possibility too. These computers, I'm new on those. So what do people think about the format? Does it seem like a helpful document? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to,
What are you talking about?
this
The
list, to
document
give him a
itself.
list and say, this is all the stuff that we've got going on. We've got zoning questions and we have current actions and what has been done to our knowledge.
Can we add on one more, the flag RV parking at the VFW?
I think that's on my list.
Is the purpose?
Yes, because that's 27 Pierce Street, right? I remember adding 27 Pierce.
Just check it, because I just
And,
printed out.
Yeah, I might have sent the wrong thing, which is fine, I can
And
pull it up.
also, the Mark question, Geraldo.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah,
Gerard, that was
Gerard's.
on there, that's right.
Is the purpose of this list for the building inspector to?
Yes, to coordinate, it's going to the building inspector.
Yeah.
To take a look at all the
And
violations.
just say, this is where we're at. The first 12 are the ones we kind of sent in an email back in August or July.
12, yeah.
And then the other ones are not previously reported. Okay, so as long as you've looked at it, I'm not missing something big.
So
I
do
will
we
forward-
still need to have the 100 Century Drive?
Nope, so where is that one? So
Number
100
15.
Century.
Number 15.
Number 15.
Well, on this list, it's number 15.
Yeah, we can take that off.
So we can take that, and we can take off
What about-
137.
Yeah,
Fuller.
136, yeah. that's
Number
it.
5?
Yeah,
Number
number
five.
5.
How about to close one?
Not yet.
Not yet. After the next meeting, though.
Well, we'll have a letter to send.
Right. Okay, that's great. And I will renumber, and so we get even more confusing.
Perfect.
So are you sending this to him, or?
Yes. I will send it off to the board and to him,
Thank you.
probably to the selectmen and Anita.
Great.
So,
What?
Mark, you send this one. You want to
Yeah,
say
Mark sent
something on that?
I haven't been out
No,
there.
it's just that they're paving.
What's the story with
I
that?
don't know if there's even a permit or if something's been resolved and I just haven't heard about it.
Yeah, I saw
Because
that.
apparently it could be on the website and I wouldn't know.
It's probably done today. I didn't drive by it today, but it's probably done, because when I was there the other day, it looked like it didn't have much more work to do.
Was it grass, it was grass before?
Yeah, now it's all paved.
No, it was just dirt.
Well, it was
yeah, it's like a
grass,
dirty-
and then they started parking on the grass, and now it's become dirt, and now
Now
they're
it's
paving.
paved.
If it is just paving, they have to go to the building inspector?
If it's just what?
Just paving.
Well, no, because
They have to go to the DPW to get a driveway, a curb opening. Well, actually,
It's
no,
there
it's a
already.
state highway. So, well, no, it wasn't there, because it was never a
Oh,
parking
paving.
area. So
I don't know if they-
They were unofficially parking, right? on the
Because
park.
they came to us for a site plan review 5 years ago, 10 years ago? We've been waiting for years.
No,
but-
3 years.
No, that was when they just did the change, but the
Yeah,
original,
change.
the building got a permit from the state for the existing curb cut.
Yeah.
No one got a permit for the curb cut for where this parking is. So that's where we just send it. And whether the Mass DOT does anything with it or not, it's not our problem, it's a state road. But,
Maybe I
That's
think,
all.
building inspector knows little more than what we know.
Hopefully.
Right?
I hope so,
I hope so, since we have no information.
right? And so, I mean, if they're only gonna have 14 parking vehicles out in that back area, that's fine. But if they're thinking that they're gonna pave 14 spaces and then park 76 cars out there on the dirt and the paving, that's in violation of the zoning. They need to get a site
How
plan
about
review. If they only put 14 cars out there they don't need site plan review.
So that means 14. the
14
lines,
vehicles.
14
If
lines.
if 15 vehicles are out there parking regularly, 15 or more, then it needs site plan review. If it's just, they're just gonna use space to do 14 vehicles,
6, 7,
it doesn't need site plan review.
12.
What about the stormwater?
Here, I count 19 cars on this Google Earth.
Oh, yeah, but that's not with the new paving.
Right.
Right, well, this, I've seen
But that's
almost 30 of them out there.
Oh, at the
So-
side, that's where the employees park?
It looks like they left a space, so some of the parking is here and there's a curb. And there's parking, new parking here and the old parking here for West Boylston.
Oh, so there's
Seafood.
parking for West Boylston Seafood there too?
Well, it looks like that's what they did. They added a whole
Oh, they're
row of
working
parking for
together.
them.
That's good.
There's a space, like a green space, but I don't think it's green yet. And then these guys have spaces here, or maybe they're angle spaces, but it looks like there's only like a 10-foot roadway. It looks narrow over here.
Really? Why would?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They left this green space, but they really constrained their access, so it might be that they only can park like a couple of trucks parallel, but they can go all the way around the building.
Oh, it goes all the way around now?
Well, I drove in, it looks like
Well,
it's
that's what
connected
they, remember they proposed, what, 3
They
years
talked
ago?
about
They
doing
wanted
it,
to go
yeah.
all the way around?
Yeah.
to, right, it looks like they're
Yeah,
doing
they
that
said they were
now.
coming back with a plan, but
Yes, we still don't see the plan.
Yeah, like this green, the treeway here is now
Yeah.
paved all the way around.
They're gonna move their dumpster.
the dumpster's over here, right?
And these cars
The
here,
dumpster, they moved it to about right here, and they were gonna move
Oh.
the dumpster.
well, there's a door there, an access door.
Yeah,
on the
there's,
end.
well, there's, the dumpster's like right there now.
Yeah, okay. And then, like, it looks like this row of cars is now accessible from this road here, so that they would pull in this way, and there's a curb behind. So that those people are from the
So
other
what do
side.
they need to do that work? It was obviously a parking area before, but not paved, which means it's,
Well,
Well,
the question was ownership of the property.
So the thing is,
It's been a parking area for about 8 or 10 years, but they've been notified multiple times that they need site plan review to park more than 15 cars there. So it's
Okay.
not officially a parking area,
okay.
even though it's been used and we haven't gotten jumping up and down. But they haven't gotten a zoning
so
exemption.
the good
So
thing
they,
is,
they need to talk to who to
The
get?
building inspector.
So maybe they have spoken to the building
Yeah,
inspector,
yeah.
and we don't know it, but
Right.
I think it's good to put it on that list.
it's a better.
Part of the
communication.
problem was, I thought there was part of the problem was ownership of the land.
Yes, because we don't know, is, according to the assessors, which I just talked about, not going by the assessor information,
Yeah.
Town owns.
it says it's unknown ownership. The town does not own it.
Town does not.
The town does not own it, but it's unknown ownership.
Was it a paper street, a paper road?
Yeah.
It was a proposed road,
One of
yes, but the
those.
town never accepted the roads. So it's
Well,
not
no
that the
road.
town accepted anything.
So is that his property?
It's the guy who proposed the development of the
I
subdivision.
understand that, but
Yes,
is that now Gerardo's property?
he hasn't
You can buy
shown us that. We would love to get a piece of paper from an attorney saying officially this is half Gerardo's and half West Boylston
Or
Seafood.
some line, I guess, yeah.
But we haven't gotten it. We've gotten letters from a couple of, or one attorney that said, we're looking into this fact and we believe that this is the situation.
Did you get a letter from a lawyer saying that the road between Steve's Pizzeria and Gerardo's, that goes up into
That's the
those
same,
apartments?
same situation.
Okay, so that's okay.
No, it's not okay, but they're using it and we don't want to say, stop using it, you can't use it, but it's currently unknown ownership. The town gets no tax money for that property and they never got any permits to park along the side or to get access to that apartment building.
Oh, and that piece of property, they were stoned us for the longest time, and we said, leave it stone dust or whatever, because as soon as you start paving and putting in more parking spaces, you trigger a site plan review again, and it's now paved. I don't know when it got paved.
So
but it's
paving would trigger a site plan review?
No, it's
No.
formally adding
15
spaces.
15 plus.
15 cars would trigger a site plan review?
15
Spaces.
plus spaces.
15
15
yeah.
plus.
Spaces, okay,
Yeah, it's adding the spaces that does it.
okay.
So that's the reason, they don't want to come. My feeling is, they don't want to come for the site plan review, so they are putting it for 14 parking spaces.
And that's fine, they can,
14?
if they
Yes.
So
put,
they just don't
That's
cross
what
the
I
threshold.
heard. but-
and as long as they stop parking more than 14 vehicles there, then they're all set. But if they,
So, but at the same time, who is going to enforce it?
the building inspector does zoning enforcement.
So the building inspectors should just stay there and count the vehicles?
He drives by one time at lunchtime and either it's, because Ollie's is always packed.
So is
So-
there a new curb cut
It
there?
is?
Yeah.
There is.
There is?
Oh, is it?
Okay, so they,
So they need,
Actually,
hopefully they
I
talk
know,
to.
actually, that could be a police department issue because there's already all this congestion right there,
well, yeah.
you know?
Well,
And if
that's-
there's another curb cut and there's, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4 curb cuts
Well, two-
on that side of the, Gerardo side of the road within 100 feet.
Gerardo's made it
No, but
better because they
this
made,
place, you
they
know-
made theirs one-way loop, bless you.
Thank you.
So you don't have people coming in and out of that one.
Of the
drive.
same one, right.
Right, so that worked out well.
That worked out well, but that doesn't look, you can't use that for Gerardo's parking, there's no access to
No, but
Gerardo's.
It goes around back of the building now.
Oh, now it does?
Yeah. But I don't think it's gonna be a general traffic around the back of the building, but I think they could, their cars.
Well, the good news is we're putting it on the list, and so they'll
Right,
check it
so we
out.
asked the question, that's all.
Yeah. All
So
right.
there's no way that the town, because a business takes over a paper road that supposedly nobody actually owns, but now a business takes it over and paves it and now is using it for their business, why can't that road now become part of their tax?
Well, because we
Excuse
can't
me.
give away somebody's property that we don't have.
But who has it? We don't
That's what,
know.
that's.
We don't know, in the
So
town,
who could possibly do even a site plan for that, because you
right,
don't
so,
know the ownership.
Start
of the
building
property,
important
so-
is theirs.
The site plan would just come up to the property.
I think we should just start building
Or
for
should
it.
just come up to the property.
well, that's what he,
Add it to the
that's what the
plan.
approved site plan is. It
Comes up
shows
to the
up
edge.
to his property, but now there's the 40-foot area in the middle, which is an old roadway that was supposed to be there,
I
that
think you-
was never built.
I mean,
Is
if
there
you-
squatters' rights on something
right.
like that?
20 years, they could do it,
20 years?
yeah. But,
But they've been using
Or we
it.
could take advantage of this problem in the assessor's notebook and just give it to them.
well, no, we've talked about this in the past where, and I think the assessors are now considering it even more, because there's probably 8 or 10
Places where this is.
properties that it's unknown ownership. So the assessors were talking a couple
Yeah,
of
that
months
meeting,
ago.
yeah.
Right, saying that they were gonna, unknown ownerships, they were gonna do the research, hire an attorney, do the research, find out if someone really owns it, and then get them for the taxes that are due, or find that we don't know who owns it, and then put it up for auction and have people buy it at the back taxes, or at least what is due for the back taxes, and then the review.
Or the expense.
And then they can own the property and do whatever they want.
Yeah, so in this case, West Boylston Seafood or Gerardo's could
We're just
They
making
could
up.
split it or
Right.
whatever they
Right, as
want.
soon as it went up to auction,
It should go up to
then
auction.
they would be
Right.
the most interested party, so they'd
Right,
probably
right.
be the one buying it.
Right.
Right,
You know.
well, then it should go up to auction.
Yeah, but
And so that was what we talked about doing 10 years
you
ago.
could buy and rent it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
So-
Gerardo says,
How are we pushing it now?
Yeah, but I can
That's,
rent it.
I think the assessors have now changed and want to do.
They want
it
to-
sounds like they were progressing on it too.
Yes, and I don't know what the status is, but this might raise that question.
Alrighty.
Did you hear about Westboro Theater?
What?
Their lease is up. Their lease is up. They've been paying their rent for all these years. The lease is up. They've been paying the bank,
Yeah.
but there's no one that owns it.
Is this the one behind the lawnmower
They had to
place?
close the theater because their lease is up, and now the town has to go through the process of finding an owner if there is one, and if not, it goes up.
Right.
It's a weird
So that's,
situation.
that's this, that's
Because
this,
the corporation that owned it was LLC or whatever, and they disbanded many years ago, so they've been paying this money the whole time.
to whom?
Has,
To the
has,
bank. To the
has the
bank.
town been collecting taxes?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And what is
Now-
it?
But now the
Bank?
town's gonna have to foreclose on it, on the property,
Because nobody's paying taxes.
Well,
because, yeah, it's weird. It's
I think
weird
that's just
story.
not the only reason you can foreclose on
yes,
or take a property, is a
Yes.
tax. withholding.
a tax taking, right, or tax title or something like that.
That's
But
good.
I think so. But
I would
I,
imagine so.
Yeah, so that's a weird situation.
Yeah,
yes, but that's what the attorney at the
that's what they said.
land use attorney was talking about, that that's what they were trying to do, so.
And they said this can
I'm
happen in
hopeful.
less than a year.
Yes, so,
What can- oh, the
sounds
whole
good.
Determination of who owns the property?
Well, the transfer of
We're going on
no
reports
ownership
on
to
the
you search for 3
Eventually.
months, they don't
Oh,
come
it's
for
hard
you,
out.
you post an auction for 3 months, you sell it, you can sort of do this all
So
within,
so that
9
could
months.
happen here, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what they talked about doing. So
because you don't have
hopefully
to, I
it will.
guess you don't have to look terribly hard.
Right.
know.
You just have to post it in the
You have
area
to
where
do
it
like a
used to
due
be.
diligence thing.
Yep. All right, reports from other boards.
I have nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
Transportation, we're meeting tomorrow night. We had a meeting scheduled for last week, but they postponed it because the thing, were you at the selectmen meeting this week, the first? I
Yeah,
don't think anybody from transportation was there.
Larry came in.
What's that?
Larry Slade came.
Oh, he was there? Oh,
He's good.
okay, so somebody represented the transportation committee there. Okay, was that, did the selectmen
Something else.
agree with that? You
Yes,
have to get their
yeah,
approval,
uh-huh,
yes?
uh-huh.
Okay, so we're gonna review that tomorrow night.
What?
What?
What did you
Going
agree?
for money for the 140 corridor improvement project to get,
project.
to get money to improve the triangle.
Basically,
The project would go on the
okay
schedule
for
that's
the
filled for the next 5
transportation
years.
Hold on,
to
one
go ahead.
at a time.
The schedule's filled for the next 5 years, so it can't happen for at least 5
Right.
years.
Okay.
But we can apply for it.
Absolutely.
But we have to
Yes,
apply for it,
and
or else you're
get-
never gonna get it on the
and
6th year.
And get on the train, because,
Yep.
but it takes,
Oh, we're getting a
5
train?
years to put well, it's a bus or a train, I'm not sure. Whatever we decide.
Monorail,
Yeah.
like The Simpsons.
Sounds like it's a
Let's go, stay
bicycle.
on track here. It's-
Oh, back to the train.
Train.
All right, so,
So you're meeting next week?
train
Tomorrow, between tomorrow. Postponed from last week because we wanted to know what the selectmen said.
all right. Any other comments, concerns? What's that?
Bowler engineering, but cookies from
Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts.
What?
I talked to him this afternoon, and he sent that over, I put it in his file, go through your mail.
It
Attached
came
as a
too
concept.
I
late.
want somebody to call him.
For
Attached
what?
is a concept plan.
Oh, the Girl Scouts? I
Have
thought
Girl
that-
Scouts of America located on the undeveloped piece of land on Century Drive on the West Boylston Worcester line. Location will be used for office space for GSA and cookie storage for the yearly fundraiser. As noted on the plan, the site will be accessed from Worcester and have a Worcester address, but the building will be constructed on the West Boylston side of the property. Surplus parking will be on the Worcester side, and to be used by volunteer sorters during cookie drive. We only anticipate one tractor trailer delivery a year. Please see attached plan, let me know your thoughts and comments. You can present this plan informally to your office if you would like us to do so.
We wanted somebody to call and talk about it.
All right, well, we'll talk about it, put that on our agenda for the next meeting.
Is he in a hurry?
Yeah, what's the hurry, actually?
He didn't, did he get in here before Thursday or Friday? No,
Wait,
no.
Wednesday, November 8th at 5:22 PM?
Yeah, so, no.
Yeah,
How
next
did you print
time.
that?
Next time.
She did,
If I
she's
called
on
him,
top
he
of it.
sent
What?
I called, he left a message, I called him back, and this is what.
Okay.
what he said.
That's what they presented before. This is no different from what was,
This is a new-
it-
All
Yeah,
right,
but
we're
it
not
was-
discussing it
I don't
because
think
it's
it was
not on our
Yeah.
agenda.
but it's similar.
We
Okay.
can email. We can do
So-
emails.
We'll just email him back and tell him it's gonna be on.
It'll be on the agenda for December, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, December agenda.
And
Citizens'
then,
comments?
minutes?
And what about the rest of the packet stuff?
What is,
Oh, there's that municipal stuff from Nancy for the,
Nancy,
yeah, we don't, that's whatever our regular calendars, aren't they? It's our we
The
don't need,
planning board meeting schedule.
we don't have anything special.
no, we already
Do
did planning board.
No, they want
This is town
tentative dates of the meetings for the next calendar.
Second and fourth Wednesday, she knows.
Oh, and licensing, we have to tell them that we,
licensing is what, that's what I was talking
Oh.
about, that's the stuff she sent, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, no, I was gonna review and make comments on that for our next meeting.
Well, we have the list.
let's see.
Right?
We'll be voting on license renewals at the December 6th meeting. Do you think we'll be in time?
Nope.
Oh,
The 13th.
when we write a letter?
No, you're too busy already.
I know.
I think just sending
I mean, we've
along
got-
that list that
right.
you already have.
Right, we've got the
That's all I
list,
would-
so I'll just take from that list the things that are still outstanding and repeat it
Yeah.
back and say, okay, these are the sites that
Exactly.
we have issues, and actually, that's a good reason, I'll forward the list, that zoning list, along with the response back to this.
Perfect.
You can drink it, Wachusett? Good to know.
At where?
Wachusett, the,
Wachusett
Country
what?
Country
Wachusett
Club?
Inc.?
The country club?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Wachusett Liquor Store.
You can drink at Wachusett Country
You
Club.
can drink as only a sampling.
I have.
No, this is the, what, Prospect Street.
Oh, country club.
The liquor store, well, they should have a license.
Steve.
Okay.
West Boylston Package Store? No, Joy Lee's.
That's a package store.
All right. So are we on to?
Juice and Wine and Spirits, it is there.
Yeah.
The full package.
A full package
What's full
store.
package versus pouring?
Must be pouring.
This is a package store, this is just serving alcohol.
Well, this sounds like it's more than all alcohol pouring.
Yeah.
So you can drink or can't drink?
Well,
I'm not- actually, I'm not sure if you can
They have
drink.
tastings there.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't know, it doesn't.
They have
Can we
tastings.
move on to
Board of Selectmen licenses?
bills and invoices?
Yep, we can. Happy to.
For a dire heat prostration here.
I know, huh? Can we have meetings outside?
Can you sign this?
You can go outside, Melanie and I will stay in here.
Yeah, good.
$96.
I'm not warm by no means.
You're not?
No, it's because we're sitting near the heater.
You're gonna have to change the seating arrangements here. You can sit, you
Which
can be in
meeting is
charge.
this for?
Yeah, you can sit over here.
Is this for our public hearing on?
The warrant, that's the warrant articles,
Yeah,
that's
is
for
that what
the
it is?
town meetings.
What's the one that?
That comes out of our budget, or is that?
Well, I had asked Nancy today, because I really didn't think we paid them. I said, town pay for that, town pay for that.
Okay.
What we
I
pay-
thought last time we did, I make the town.
We pay per article or something?
Well, the advertising twice.
He left.
The advertising thing, but I thought they paid.
Next.
I thought they, the town did.
Are you gonna sign this for me?
Sure. It's warrant articles.
Yep.
There you go.
Actually, I was advertising the planning board clerk shop. and that's what
What's this?
90 Sterling Street?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Oh, Big Daddy. I guess you went out to visit.
Can you sign?
What's this?
What are you in such a hurry for?
It's getting late. Some of us get up at 5 a.m.
3:30.
This is why I don't get anything written, because I'm brain dead.
3:30. Why do you get up at 3:30?
That's why we need to
I
start.
need to work at 5.
Oh,
Where do you work?
That's mine.
Which one?
One in Oxford.
Northborough?
Why so early?
Stop.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so, hearing minutes. Paul Anderson.
Oh, we didn't get that, sorry.
You get to sign.
Fine.
Oh, okay.
All right, so, minutes.
So,
Motion to
I-
approve.
yeah.
Ginger approved.
Which ones?
Okay, motion to approve the public
Okay.
hearing minutes. October 25th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve our regular meeting minutes from October 25th, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
We have, was that for both the minutes, the public hearing minutes and the meeting minutes?
There were two
There
motions
are
and
two
two votes.
motions.
I think you dozed off on that.
Wow.
You voted for both of them.
Our next meeting is
have those
December 13th. Oh. Is that yours? Did I grab yours?
Okay.
And our next meeting is December 13th at 7?
Yes, it is.
Is it at 7?
Still at 7 o'clock, right?
6 o'clock for work.
7 o'clock.
7 works?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Second.
Seconded?
Mark,
Or anybody.
or
Mark.
Raj, either one.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You sure?
Opposed?
Well, I could abstain or say no, it's a quorum, it's a